This is Surrey County Cricket Club, born in a tavern in 1845. The symbol of Kennington, we've seen London grow around us. Cricket's original champions, as Charles Alcock brought his vision to life and we cemented a reputation as a place of firsts. International football, FA Cup finals, international rugby, test matches, as well as where English pride came to die, before a great rivalry was born from its ashes. We share our feathers with royalty and pass on the honour of the brown cap through generations. We've seen England's best spend their careers with us.
Well, that's Jack Hobbs. Head and shoulders, yes, over all other living batsmen.
And the game's best finish under our gasometer. We've won 7 in a row thanks to Surridge, May, Barrington, Locke, Laker and the Bedser twins. In fact, we're well known for our famous siblings, but there's always been one family who've stood out. We saw the West Indies grip a nation on our doorstep, and a pioneer set records galore in the women's game. The end of the century brought a fresh take on Ik Dien, as Holyoake and his England teammates transformed us on the pitch. The changing of the oval skyline brought the greatest of finales.
There it is. England have regained the Ashes.
And an era of final test triumphs.
Alistair Cook has done it. A century in his last. Well played.
On our way to our own red ball century. We're one half of the game's oldest rivalry and its only London derby.
Can you clear the pavilion?
Local players are always the lifeblood of our side. But the world's best are attracted to us too. We've come through tragedies. Now we're home to world champions and cricketers of the year. 175 years have passed. There's much more to come. This is Surrey County Cricket Club, heart of London, pride of the county, the grandest stage in world cricket.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Kia Oval. It's so great to say those words ahead of the first home game of Surrey's 2021 Vitality Blast campaign against Glamorgan here this evening. 6:30 p.m. start, team news and the toss at 6 p.m. our time. It's been a toasty 28 degrees, but with the cloud cover, it's just cooled down a little bit. But we're still riding on the high of England's win against Croatia at the Euros at Wembley, and also full crowds back, well not full crowds, but certainly sizable crowds back at Wembley and also at Edgbaston, where England play New Zealand in the second test. We've got 4,000 tickets that have been made available for this game here between Surrey and Glamorgan. You really feel the difference just around the concourse. There's a hubbub, there's just excitement for people to see live cricket, domestic T20 cricket here at the Kia Oval with their own eyes. And to really increase that excitement, we've got some interviews to bring you before we start the game with Carl Jameson, a new recruit, and also Sam Curran, who's been starring for Surrey already this season and also is in the England picture as far as the T20s against Sri Lanka is concerned. Plus, we'll be joined by Rhys Topley, who's currently out injured, but it'd be great to get his insights on Surrey's start to the season and indeed on this game. Now, in contrast to last year, where Surrey were a little slow out the blocks in the T20 Blast, this time around, lightning quick start. 54-run victory over Middlesex. That was followed up by a 7-wicket win over Somerset. Both of those away from home at Lords and at Taunton, respectively. And let's just relive that win over Middlesex at Lords. They were put in by Middlesex. Jason Roy and Will Jacks putting on 95 in their opening stand inside 9 overs. Jacks, with a 15-ball 50, ended up hitting 70 off his 24 balls. And although Middlesex did fight back, strong hitting from Jamie Overton in particular, and also Tom Curran got Surrey to 2-2-3 for 7, and in truth they defended that with ease, and Tom Curran managed to be involved in all of the dismissals of that dangerous top three of Stevie Eskenazi, Paul Stirling and Owen Morgan. And when Owen Morgan fell, it was Jordan Clark who got his wicket. Well, wickets continued to fall regularly, and really the momentum petered out of Middlesex's run chase. Sam Curran got involved, a run out from him, and then finished with figures of 4 for 29 off his 4 overs as Surrey won by 54 runs in the end. So let's show you the highlights from last Thursday at Lord's.
Wistfully played, it's going to reach the boundary. Save your legs. Oh, genuine edge. Chase on in the deep, can't be stopped. It's a very productive over for Surrey. First over has been completed, 14 without loss. Oh, what a shot that is! What a shot, that's got miles! Right into the grandstand. Just a little flick from Jacks.
Catch it!
Now that's not been hit well. It might be good enough though with the short side, and it is. Has it been shelled as well in the crowd? Possibly, but there was a very tinny sound, maybe a bottom edge from Will Jacks.
It is a miscue from Jacks. It spent a lot of time in the air, a good amount of hang time, but he's got just enough to help the ball on its way. Just again using that crease laterally with Simpson up to the stumps. It doesn't allow them to advance towards down the wicket.
Again, Holman now, has he got the legs this time? Another chase. Oh, 2 out of 2. Might want to move him round 20 yards or so, give him a head start. 50 up. Oh, that's a wonderful strike. Into the grandstand, weight on the back foot. No wonder you're punching your partner's gloves with a shot like that.
Shot of the evening so far, would you say, Daggers? Just that, again, the use of the crease has been brilliant. Seen him move over onto the offside this time. That leg side of the ball just to open up. Offside boundary again, the short side.
Another run away for 4. And Will Jacks has 50. 15 deliveries it's taken him. And that is a stunner. 3rd fastest in Blast history. Short again, pulled again, 6 again.
Yeah, they're just going to keep going through this middle period.
Well, one thing's for sure, he is sitting back now, he's just sweating on that back of the length delivery. Modern style does sort of just presses forward. So he does have Nathan Souter, who might well follow him. Oh, it's brilliant. Great stop from Stirling. Confusion everywhere, and I think Will Jacks might be short.
Yeah, I think the look on his face was a bit of a giveaway. I think he knew he was gone there.
He's had plenty of success, though, in the Blast, and that's where they're aiming. Leg side, he hasn't got enough of it. Perfect start for Souter, and just what Middlesex needed. Good change from Morgan. Unusual looking shot, but beautifully timed. Beautiful. He's been a bit becalmed so far, but there's still plenty of time for him to turn that around. He's a runner ball at the moment. Big hit. Someone please throw it back. More sanitizer required.
Mainly down to the shorter boundaries.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He's had a good measure of success in the Blast, Nathan Souter, and he's bowled pretty well again here. Not at his best today, but he's done a job. He's done a job for his team in partnership with Jacks. He couldn't quite kick on.
To be saying to the captain, give me the ball.
It's gone up. It's gone up a long, long way. It will take some catching now. Just enough. Just enough. Just for a moment, long off was interested. so short. It is so short, and perhaps that is the best indication of it. Not really any chance for Stephen Finn in the deep.
T20 side with bat and ball, because he can do everything.
High in the air, should be easy. It is. Taken very comfortably. Jamie Overton, unconcerned that his partner has been removed. Oh, well, that's been brilliantly played, but I think he's going to get called all the way for 6. Now, just checking, yep, no ball.
This is a mammoth total, hearing the highest at Lords.
Now, question asked by Simpson, just felt that there was a little bit of unbalance from Tom Curran. He thinks he's gone.
What's wrong with a bacon sandwich? Sterling goes, and he goes all the way. That's a magnificent strike. Shot. That drive through extra cover, scorching the turf.
Just quickly at the interview, he really wanted to back last campaign's performance up this year. He said that was really important.
Short side again. Same result. 20 was a good thing, but they won't want to take their eyes off this. Paul Sterling, his second 6. It's a mighty, mighty blow.
But timing as well. Straight out of the screws. Straight into the crowd for another 6. Just such a clean striker of the ball, isn't he? He's always done that so well.
And that's what he bowls, and you too will have gone for a 6, so he was listening. But he's gone to 50, quite stunning 50. Second amazing 50 of the game.
These run chases, the batting team can't really get it wrong from a tactical perspective. You know you've got to go hard. You know, sometimes, like last night, Nottinghamshire chasing you 150s, they are sometimes trickier than these big scores.
First innings. Have to hurry. You're going to have a look upstairs, but the body language is saying from Tom Curran and Surrey, they've got their man. Lovely shot, super shot. Biggest boundary, largest part of the ground, but timing exquisite.
Again, might just... Oh, it's brilliant from Curran! Oh, what a grab! Take your applause, Tom Curran.
The footwork, it was slightly going over his head. Eskinazi hasn't got all of it, so being able to track it when the ball's going over your shoulder, getting your feet right, and then getting the timing of the hand.
And that's a clean strike as well. Now the crowd are starting to find their voice. Big 6, straight 6. No more than a punch from Morgan, but sweetly timed. Simpson there as well. Here's Clark. Oh, fortunate. They'll take the Middlesex. Was early on the shot, Morgan. Nothing anybody can do from a Surrey perspective. It's gone high. Is it far enough? No, it's not. And it's that man there, Curran again. Morgan goes, possibly within Middlesex's chances.
Got him, gone. All of the pace off that delivery. Little bit of an arc in towards the leg stump of the left-handed Holden. He really struggled out there. 5 from 12. And that's going to be out as well. Sam Curran picks up a second in the over. He has made those figures look better.
Curran runs in, bangs it into the deck there, using the surface, and it's, you know, it's a futile swing of the bat at this stage of the evening and catches the top edge. And
drilled back over the bowler's head. That's a nice stroke to finish the over. What a way to finish it. Emphatic. Huge win for Surrey. 55 runs the margin. And in truth, at times it felt as though the chasm was even wider than that.
So Surrey victorious in their opening game of the Vitality Blast against Middlesex in front of the Sky cameras by 54 runs. The headband-clad Sam Curran, one of the heroes there. And having defended a total more than ably, could they chase well? Well, despite being severely delayed and having a long, old, arduous trip down to Taunton for the game against Somerset, players, support staff, even commentators were affected by that one. They managed to restrict Somerset to 187 for 6. They managed to dismiss the dangerous Tom Banton for 1. Sam Curran again there. Tom Abell looked like he was those highlights. Well, he was at it again with another wicket and super economical figures, and Tom Curran got 2 of his own. 187 never looked enough. As for the chase, century partnership between Laurie Evans and Sam Curran that did the damage. Evans with 65 off 34. Sam Curran a strike rate of 272 not out off 36 balls. Cool, calculated knock, getting Surrey to their target with 4 overs to spare to seal a 7-wicket win. So here are the highlights from last Friday at Taunton. Great to see Surrey make it 2 wins from 2, comfortable in the end, cantered to victory by 7 wickets against Somerset at Taunton. And so, yes, they have a 100% record, which they'll hope to keep defending here today. And it's great to get, you know, fantastic analysis and great guests here on the Surrey stream, which you can see on your social and digital channels, and of course KiraOval.com. We've got Rhys Topley with us, and it's great to have you here. Obviously, you're not involved here because you're recovering from a side strain. So first of all, how is the injury?
Yeah, the injury's coming along really nicely. Obviously, the timing wasn't very good just before T20s, but hopefully I'm not going to miss too many, and I'll be back before you know it.
Yeah, and you built up a bit of a head of steam, especially early on in the county championship. You took wickets against Gloucestershire, and you took wickets against Middlesex. I mean, how are you feeling in terms of your form, and how's it gone up until that point?
Yeah, I mean, myself and a few other people didn't really have red ball cricket on the radar too much, but you know, I sort of didn't forget how to shape a red ball, and things went quite nicely at the start. And then obviously I was looking forward to the T20 Blast, but unfortunately not to be a part of the start is pretty gutting. But the lads seem to have really taken the ball by the horns, and they've started brilliantly. And
it's interesting, isn't it, compared to last season, and you were involved, and I think everyone really played their part. I was just discussing with Mark Church a bit earlier on. It was all different kinds of wins, in terms of who came to the plate and who delivered, and you were definitely one of those on occasion. So, you know, when you look at that and the poor start that was made and then the winning run you went on, this time around, much better to start off with. 2 wins from 2, and we've seen the highlights from those games against Middlesex and Somerset. What do you put that down to? You know, what's been going on in the camp? You know, do you feel that there is an incredible momentum and positivity after that finals appearance last season?
Well, obviously, to start with, it was, new head coach with Vic, and there was a lot of new faces around, but then once we had our game plan and we went about it, playing the way that we wanted to play, and we sort of settled into our roles. I think that's where the run of form came in, and we haven't gone too far away from that this year, and I think that's why we've had a pretty quick start. People have settled straight back into what they were doing last year, and long may that continue.
And the other thing, of course, you can just see them dotted around behind us, Rhys. The fans are back. 4,000 tickets available for this one. Obviously, members taking those, and you can hear the comments from the crowd now. There's just those little voices and that support that they're going to give you, even though, of course, it's far from a capacity crowd. How does that affect you as a player? Is that something you feed off?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, going from nothing to 4,000 here tonight, before then you almost took it for granted, but now having them back in, it does feel like it's almost at capacity, even though it's at a fraction of what could be capacity. So it's just a pleasure to have them back, and I think the players really do feed off that energy that the fans give, and obviously it's nice that the fans finally get to watch some live cricket.
So of course you came in last season, and you're now sort of really your feet under the table, as it were, and you're well embedded in the club, part of the furniture if you like. But there is a new recruit who is joining Surrey fairly soon, and that is Kyle Jamieson, New Zealand fast bowler, all 6'8" of him, and of course such a threat in all formats of the game. Recently was involved in that first test against England at Lords and took a few wickets there. So we have caught up with Kyle, and this is an exclusive interview with the New Zealand paceman. Enjoy.
Yeah, it's a pretty exciting opportunity for me, and one that I didn't think was going to be able to come about. But I guess with how things have unfolded so far this year, it's a pretty good chance to play some county cricket, and test myself in that capacity.
This is your first experience of playing cricket in England. Obviously, this sort of will extend that for past Test match cricket. Are you excited about what you've seen so far and what you might get to see playing for Surrey? Yeah. Look, it's been cool. It's obviously lucky to have crowds in at Lords and then crowds in here as well. So look, it's been nice to see a little bit of England. Hopefully, see a little bit more over the next few months, and just excited to get stuck in. You'll be calling the Oval, obviously a pretty historic, famous ground, your home ground for this competition. How exciting is it to be based at a ground like that and to get the experience of playing for a big club like Surrey? Yeah, it's cool. Look, I've heard good things about the Oval. I hear their crowds on a Friday night are certainly pretty good and pretty loud. So I'm looking forward to that. Like you said, it's a pretty iconic venue in England. So to be able to call that home is pretty cool. Have you had a chance to either chat to any of the guys who have played in the Blast before, or chat to any of your potential teammates here? Not too much. A little bit with Ollie Pope. We were at Lords last week, and just sort of just saying welcome to the club. So look, it'd be cool to be to be able to link up with those guys, and just experience the Blast and experience county cricket. And in terms of experience in those overseas leagues, obviously got your first taste of that of your professional career playing in the IPL early this year. What does that do for you in terms of exposing yourself to different environments, learning different things, and kind of expanding your game?
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. I think you see different sets of eyes. They have different opinions on how to go about things. So just gather knowledge, and then you can sort of filter through it yourself. So yeah, I think look to get experience in foreign conditions certainly aids your development, not only as a player but as a person as well. And yeah, just to kind of to play in different environments and to experience those things is pretty cool.
And just sort of lastly, obviously a few guys have now sort of signed on with different counties around the place to play in the competition. Is it going to be exciting to sort of come up against a few familiar faces and see some guys around the traps as well?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's always it's cool. Same with the IPL as well. When you play against play against all the Kiwi guys and get to see them and catch up and stuff, it's awesome. So yeah, hopefully be able to do that over my next sort of month or two and just catch up and see a few familiar faces and try to win a few battles.
Thanks, Carl.
Cheers.
Great to hear from Carl Jamieson in that exclusive interview given to us here at Surrey County Cricket Club. Just to let you know, the news of the toss is that Surrey have won the toss and are elected to bowl first. Before we talk about Carl Jamieson, Reece, what do you make of that as a decision? Is it surprising?
It's hard to tell without looking at the state of the wicket. Obviously, you can't tell much from up here. Maybe chasing under the lights might be a bit easier. Maybe that came into the equation, and hopefully that negates any movement off the pitch. But hopefully it's the right decision. I'm sure it will.
Well, look, Surrey like a chase, and it's a big old boundaries here, of course, and that use strip, and I think it's obviously tactics to try and negate some of the bigger hitters that Glamorgan have got, and Marnus Labuschagne is in form, and we'll talk about him a little bit later on. But what about Carl Jamieson? What do you like about him as a bowler? What makes him so difficult to face?
Well, personally, obviously, the first thing I like about him is that he's nice and tall.
Yeah.
All the best bowlers are, apparently. No, he's obviously a massively talented bloke. His average is, minimal for however many games he's played.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of wickets in his short Test career, but and obviously he got that massive price tag at the IPL. So he's obviously talented in T20 cricket as well, and just can't wait to get him here, and hopefully I'll be playing alongside him soon.
He's got the domestic T20 record, and he's in terms of bowling figures of 6 for 7 off 4. That was with Canterbury. I mean, do English conditions suit him? Do you see him ripping it up over here?
I think he's got all the attributes to, whether it's in England or India, anywhere. I think he's got the attributes to rip it up wherever he goes, and hopefully that he's a massive success here, and he contributes to us getting out of this group and into the quarters.
Now, in terms of overseas players, so he replaced Sean Abbott, who had that hamstring issue and went back to Australia, and Abbott replaced Kemar Roach, who had 5 first-class appearances. Of course, we've got Hashim Amla, who's with us once again with Surrey this season. What does that tell you about the quality, the calibre of overseas player that we're able to attract here?
Yeah, obviously you just reeled off the names there, and it's a massive privilege to play alongside those guys. The calibre is, the top quality international players, and I think it's good to bring those to the club, not only for their performances, but it's also what people in the change room can take from those guys. I know Kemar helped me massively. I didn't play a lot of first-class cricket in recent years, and he was amazing to open the bowling with, and have him at the other end. He I really fed off his experience, and between overs talking to him, he gave me a lot of advice, and I think that's what another quality that Stu probably looks for in the overseas players.
I think that's absolutely right. I think that it's a nice balance to the squad with the overseas players, the experience, the youth as well, and some, there's 2 particular players from the England setup as well as here at Surrey, and that's Sam and Tom Curran. What is it like to play alongside them? Is it as much of a privilege?
Of course, 2 massively talented cricketers. It's nice to play alongside. I don't think I've actually played alongside either of them for Surrey yet, but I played alongside them for England, and it's nice having familiar faces around the setup when you are representing your country.
How much does their love for Surrey really come across? Because, of course, they came through the academy here. Yes, they play all over the world, but they very much consider this their home club. Does that come across?
Absolutely. I think both of them want to put in performances like they already have done that contribute to us getting out of this group and hopefully getting back to finals day again. But first, I think they're going to play 4 games for us. Maybe 5.
Yeah.
And they'll want to put in match-winning performances like every cricketer does for Surrey.
I think it is that, isn't it? It's the case of just trying to maximise Tom Sam and indeed Jason Roy before they then go into the England bubble for the Sri Lanka T20s. And I think, if I'm right in saying that, is 5, maybe even 6 games from here on in. Sam Curran has started the season absolutely brilliantly. 4 for 29 off 4 against Middlesex, and then that 72 not out of 36 balls against Somerset. He's been speaking pre-match with Mark Church.
Sam, thanks for joining us ahead of this evening. How much are you looking forward to getting back here to the Kia Oval and playing in front of your home fans again?
Hey, Churchy, yeah, very excited. I think I was actually chatting to Tom this morning. We went for some breakfast about the last time we played at the Oval for Surrey was a very long time ago. So very excited to play in front of the home fans and the members, and on a beautiful day. It's boiling hot here. I'm just about to leave, so I'm really excited.
So when was the last time? I was trying to work it out myself. Have you worked it out? Good dog.
Well, my mum's coming this evening, where she was actually just round, and she said her last game was when TC got that hat-trick against Glamorgan in 2019. So presume that could actually be TC's, but I think I may have played a 4-day game last year. But the T20's been probably even maybe 2018, who knows? Yeah. So it's been a very long time, but there's no better place in the world to play T20 cricket at the Kia Oval. So really excited.
Yeah, and I know how much you're enjoying being back with the Surrey boys, you and DC, because obviously with your England commitments and all your other commitments around the world these days, you two, I know how much you love getting back and playing, and you can see that from the first couple of games this season.
Yeah, it's been really nice. You know how much I love playing for Surrey. The start we've had makes it even better. The boys have been playing really good cricket. We've had a very attacking brand and throwing ourselves around in the field and things like that. So Glamorgan's going to be another tough challenge. I saw they won yesterday against Essex. So we'll come up with various plans this evening. But they've got some quality players and we've got some good players as well. So I'm sure it's going to be another great game at the Kia Oval.
Look, it's gone all right with the ball for you so far. It's also gone all right with the bat, my friend. I was saying to somebody the other day, he's got up a level now. He's gone up a notch, this boy. You must be very pleased with the way, especially against Somerset, mate, the way you played.
Yeah, it was good. Like I said, I feel I've been working really hard on specific things, especially in the T20 game, where I've probably got a lot of opportunities up the order, which I'm really enjoying. The IPL is definitely a tournament that's helped me, being around players of such high quality, learning, just chatting batting scenarios, batting, how to run, chase, how to build innings, things like that. I think over the last few years, I probably haven't been as consistent, but that's something I've really tried to add to my game, is try and actually back them up. So this evening will definitely be another opportunity, because the Ovals are normally a pretty good track. So I'm really excited. And yeah, the boys are really confident. So fingers crossed we can go 3 from 3.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, you've got game at home this week. You come again on Thursday and Friday. So it's nice to know you've got a week at home, isn't it?
Yeah, the travel the other day to Taunton was pretty immense. Took most of the guys 5 hours. I'm sure you had a long journey as well. So, but no, it's 3 home games at our home ground in front of the home members, home fans. Like I said, there's no better place to play, and the weather's going to be a scorcher. So I'm sure everyone coming down will get a bit burnt and have a few beers. So it'll be good fun.
Finally, this will be going out on the live stream. I don't know which way you're making your way into the ground today, but I've just walked up the Harleford Road to be greeted by a poster of you about 40 feet in the air on the end of a lamppost. So when you're coming up the Harleford Road, everybody, or Sam Curran, just keep an eye out for that, because it's an absolute belter.
I'll check it out when I'm driving in now. So yeah, hopefully it's a good one. I'll just check it out.
Thank you, Sam. Good luck tonight. Go well.
Cool. Cheers.
Right, let's just update you on the team news for this one and who Surrey are fielding. It's an unchanged lineup from their win at Somerset. So Jason Roy and Will Jacks will be opening the batting. Laurie Evans at 3, Sam Curran at 4, Jamie Smith and wicketkeeper at 5, Jamie Overton at 6, Jordan Clark at 7, Tom Curran at 8, Dan Moriarty batting at 9, Gareth Batty at 10 and Matt Dunn at 11. Let's talk about one of those players in particular, a man who was the MVP of the T20 Blast last season. 309 runs, strike rate of 150, also took 13 wickets. Will Jacks, how important is it that he backs up that effort this season to really show he's not a one-season wonder?
Yeah, I've got the utmost confidence that Jaxie isn't going to be a one-season wonder. Having played against him at Sussex, I realised that he was a massive talent, and unfortunately I was on the receiving end of some of his beatings. But last year it was nice to watch him from the same dressing room, and he had an unbelievable year. And some of the bowling that he took down, you know, some overseas players as well. It was really like a massive breakout season for him, and looks like he's going to continue that this year because he's hitting the ball nicely, and I can't wait to watch it.
And of course, I mean, as we mentioned, I mean, spin is important, isn't it? In T20 cricket, he played a vital role. He, along with Gareth Batty and Dan Moriarty as well, who took 19 wickets in the Blast last season, really have that well covered. But what about pace bowlers? Tell us how that attack is looking, because you were just saying off air, Gus has been away, but he's almost back, Gus Atkinson.
Yeah, I think he played in the second team yesterday, so it's nice to see him back.
Pudsy's still away, isn't he? But Liam Plunkett is still struggling.
I'm not sure on Pudsey, but I keep seeing him in the gym doing his rehab, so I'm sure he's not too far away as well. So hopefully in the not too distant future our pace bowling stocks will be the envy of other counties, just like our spinners are.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and as you said before, it's an incredibly balanced squad, and we've got mixture of ages, mixture of experience and real talent all the way through academy prospects and everything. Let's talk a little bit about today's opponents. Glamorgan twice reached finals in this competition, 2004 and 2017. Never actually reached the final itself, finished a 5th in their group last season, but didn't manage to progress, and it was very, very tight for them, but in the end they didn't manage to get through. They've started off their T20 Blast campaign in 2021 with a narrow defeat to Gloucestershire, just by the 4 runs, just fell just short, but they managed to bounce back with a 7-wicket win against Essex. And Marnus Labuschagne has made a fantastic start, 93 off 56 against Gloucestershire, 59 off 47 against Essex. So let's see the highlights of that game and that 7-wicket win against Essex in Cardiff yesterday.
Glamorgan showed their T20 Blast potential after easing to a 7-wicket victory with an over to spare against one of the pre-tournament favourites, Essex, in Cardiff. Put in, the Eagles made a solid enough start through William Buttleman and Tom Wesley. Wesley went after Rodri Smith but skied the shot to Nick Selman after making 7. Buttleman continued on his knock, a mix of the sublime and the ridiculous, as he and Michael Pepper took the total to 49 at the end of the 6 overs of power play. Pepper then joined in the fun by going big off Andrew Salter. Buttleman attempted the same off the spinner, but his innings was ended as his sweep was top-edged to Selman, the batsman on his way for 36. Essex were on 80 for 2 at the halfway stage of their innings, but never pushed on once Pepper somehow fell to a drag down by Marnus Labuschagne to depart on 29. Paul Walter was then undone by a quicker ball from Salter. The Eagles on 88 for 4 after 12, with the Glamorgan Slowies doing an excellent job. 2 boundary-free overs followed before Jimmy Neesham decided he had to press on, this 6 bringing up 3 figures. Feroz Khushi matched that effort, but the home side, for the most part, continued to keep a tight rein on the scoring. And the wickets helped too. Khushi falling for 17, nicking a cut off Tim van der Houten behind, leaving with his team on 120 for 5 at the start of the 17th over. Just when a big finish was required for the visitors, the opposite occurred. Neesham just couldn't get enough on a shot to release the pressure and was caught in the deep for 21. But a target of 154 surely had Glamorgan on top, especially if they made a good start to their reply, and that target was reduced by 20 in the first 2 overs. They lost David Lloyd, who plugged a hit off Jack Plon to Walter after making 14. But that only brought in Labuschagne, who began his knock quietly by watching Selman go after Plom as 48 were taken off the target inside the power play. Selman soon cleared the rope a second time, Glamorgan reaching 72 for 1 after 10, leading a further 82 from the remaining and making light of the task at hand. Selman reached his 3rd T20 half-century off his 33rd delivery, a knock which he made look easy and one which always had his side firmly in the box seat. And there they remained, Labuschagne making sure of that by going after Plom. The host left to find only 29 runs from the final 5 overs. The wicket of Selman for 65, made from 45 deliveries, well held off his own bowling by Harmer, was all a little too late for the visiting team. The prolific Labuschagne had eased to a 50 from 39 deliveries, and he now looked to finish the game off. Alas, that he failed to do, as with 9 needed. He drilled Sam Cook to Jamie Porter to fall for 59, but it was another excellent knock from a man who rarely fails to impress, whether in the colours of Australia or Glamorgan. 5 balls later, the match was finished off by Colin Ingram, this boundary taking the Welshmen to their target with a full over unused. It was a highly professional team performance from the hosts, winning with 6 balls to spare by 7 wickets to lay down a marker in this competition ahead of their next match at high-flying Surrey on Monday.
We've told you the Surrey team. Let's bring you the Glamorgan team for this one. Nick Salmon and David Lloyd opening the batting. Marnus Labuschagne, the Australian, at 3. Colin Ingram batting at 4. Chris Cook, captain and wicketkeeper, at 5. Kieran Carlson at 6. Dan Douthwaite at 7. James Whale at 8. 9 is Andrew Salter. 10 is Tim van der Gugten, and Prem Sisodia is the final man in the starting game. It's just simply one change. Whale comes in for Rory Smith, who took a couple of wickets in that win that you've just seen against Essex at Cardiff last night. How do you tame Marnus Labuschagne recently?
Honestly, I don't know too much about him in T20 cricket.
Well, he doesn't know too much about himself in T20 cricket. He's relatively new to it.
Yeah, I mean, looking at their lineup, they're going to be heavily dependent on 3-4-5. I think that's where they look to get most of their runs.
Yeah.
3 good players. Obviously, Marnus is, an international quality player, and I think I'm excited to see how our bowling attack will try and keep him quiet tonight.
I mean, when it comes to playing a team like Glamorgan, and you're there in the early stages of the competition, how much is momentum a factor here? You've got 2 wins already under your belt. Get a third, especially as we mentioned before, with the likes of Sam and Tom and Jason in the side at the moment. Hopefully you'll be back soon as well, and then just get yourself that breathing space. It's something that Surrey never had the luxury of last season.
Yeah, if we can get a run together early, it's obviously a luxury, and it takes a bit of pressure off the games at the back end of the tournament. You don't want to hit the straps, at the start of the comp, because you don't want to run out of gas towards the end.
Yeah.
But teams sort of gather momentum at the right pace, and you can take that through to the knockout stages. That's always an advantage.
Yeah.
But I think having guys that have come back from around the world and coming back to play for us, obviously they want to make an input straight away, and it's obviously really good to have them back in the change room, and then hopefully when they move off to the international stuff, we'll have some fresh faces that want to make a statement in the side as well.
Yeah, it's a nice situation to have, and sometimes you just look at as we mentioned, the options available to Vikram Solanki, and I think other counties sometimes would look over in envy. If you look over my left shoulder, you can see that the Surrey fielders just there on the boundary edge. What is the tactic then? We've got a central strip. It is a U strip as well, not really revealing any trade secrets here. Big old boundaries at the oval. I suppose negate the bigger batters of Glamorgan and go and chase. How would you assess it?
Yeah, obviously I don't know if it looks a used wicket, and so we've got the option of 12 overs of spin. Hopefully how much of that we use will dictate to what the surface is doing. We've got a lot of seam options as well. I think Jamie hasn't bowled too much in the comp yet, but obviously we've got him up our sleeve as well. So there's a lot of bowling stock available, and I'm sure anyone that's given the ball at any stage will be more than competent.
Yeah, we'll see how Gareth Batty & Co approach it. So it's time to sit back and relax and enjoy this first home game in the T20 Vitality Blast in 2021 for Surrey against Glamorgan. They've won the toss, they are bowling first. So enjoy it in the company of Nick Webb, also James Harris, Kevin Howes, and of course Mark Church. And that's it for the moment. That's the hardest bit, to be honest.
Is it?
The rest of it's more, just reacting to what happens.
So when do I come back?
Well, probably like 17th over.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So it's literally just in the middle, and then that's it.
And the end. Sorry. That's what I've been told, anyway. Yeah. You all right, guys?
Glamorgan coming off the back of a win yesterday against Essex. Surrey coming off the back of a couple of wins last week. One against Somerset on Friday night, and then against Middlesex at Lords on Thursday. Delighted to say, alongside this evening is BBC Sport Wales' Nick Webb. Good evening to you, Mr. Webb. Lovely to have you here as always.
Very good evening, Mark. Pleasure to be here.
This good win yesterday for your boys.
Yeah, it was over Essex by 7 wickets. 1 out of 2 for Glamorgan. Marnus Labuschagne in top form. As in the background you'll hear the message of unity being put out by the cricket players and authorities. The two teams lined up in front of the pavilion opposite us. As I say, a crowd of around 4,000 in. It's the most spectators I've seen for a while.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
So the applause for that message of unity from the cricket authorities. No place for any discrimination within the game, and who could argue with that? Surrey winning the toss and deciding to bowl. One change in the Glamorgan side. Rory Smith has been rested for this one, coming back of course from a hamstring injury which kept him out of the early stages of the season. He's played a couple of matches. Glamorgan have 2 more to come this week, and he's replaced by James Wheel, the former Durham player who makes his T20 debut. So Glamorgan lineup: Lloyd, Selman, Labuschagne, Ingram, Chris Cook, Carlson, Douthwaite, Salter, Wheel, Van der Hoogten and Sisodia. And I've got extra Welsh company this evening in the form of the Middlesex all-rounder James Harris, who himself has played on loan for Glamorgan this season. Very good evening to you, James. What are you expecting this evening in the way of scoring first?
Well, good evening both. Good evening everybody. Well, first off, Surrey have won the toss and decided to bowl, which tells you that they think this is going to be a pretty good wicket. It looks a little bit used from up here. They probably played on it, I think, Mark, quite recently, like maybe last week. They think it's going to be a good wicket and probably slide on as the evening continues. So yeah, I'd expect some runs this evening. There's a shortish boundary to one side, a very long boundary on the other side. So it'll be interesting to see Surrey's tactics. But I'd imagine there'll be a lot of spin bowled by both teams. Probably looking at the way both teams line up.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that James makes. That was Surrey's game plan last year. They suddenly came across their game plan when they got to the final last year, and that was here in South London, pitch slap bang in the middle, biggest boundaries you can, and try and run sides ragged, especially with the 3 spinners. Just team news from a Surrey point of view is unchanged, Surrey. So both the first games won, and they've stuck with the same team. So again, no overseas. Hashim Amla cannot get in this Surrey starting 11 at the moment. So Jason Roy and Will Jacks, Laurie Evans, Sam Curran, Jamie Smith,
ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your 2 umpires this evening. It's Peter Hartley and Nick Dunn,
Gareth Batty and Dan.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, your home side, led by captain Gareth Batty of Surrey.
That is a very, very strong Surrey.
It is. It's incredible to think they can put out that team without any international players at all. Watching the game last week between Surrey and Middlesex, to see the way that some of the guys stepped up, to see the way that Will Jacks came out and played with the bat, and to see the way that bowling attack bowled as a unit at Lords, it put a real marker down, I think, for everybody else in the competition.
I am looking forward to watching Labuschagne and Ingram tonight. I think they'll enjoy this, and I think Surrey tonight will start with spin, which they haven't done yet in the competition. Last year, and it will be Will Jacks to get us started from the Vauxhall end. So this is the tactic that was used last year here. Get Will Jacks into the attack for the first over, and David Lloyd and Nick Salmon are out there. Salmon will be on strike. 2 back are long on and a deep mid wicket, and then there's a man just behind square on the leg side. There is a mid wicket, which is Jason Roy inside the circle, 5 leg on the edge of the circle. There is a 3rd man on the edge of the circle, Dan Moriarty, backward point, cover Laurie Evans, and then Tom Curran in his blue bandana at mid off. Here we go then, and first delivery, little bit of turn I think there for Will Jacks, as Salmon looks to turn that one into the leg side, so that's interesting. First one from Will Jacks, there was a little bit of turn into the right-handed Salmon as Jacks over the wicket he comes again, and this one's tucked away by Salmon into the leg side. Matthew Dunn does the fielding. little bit of something there straight away, James Harris.
Interesting with Surrey that have chosen to bowl first on this pitch. If there's a bit of spin, it's likely to spin more and more as the evening goes on, which with Glamorgan with a couple of spinners in their team could potentially play into their hands later on.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Surrey like chasing as Jacks is in, and good shot this from Selman, chips it leg side. I thought he got more on that actually, and it was going over mid-on, but actually Jamie Overton comes in from deep mid-wicket. You could see his thinking because they just brought the long on up to mid-on, and he was looking, I think, to go straighter than that, but got enough bat on it to get the ball into the leg side. It's a long old carry out there towards Archbishop Tennyson School. Jacks is in, first ball for Lloyd, and this squirts away into the leg side. Dunn does the fielding, horrible throw, straight over the top of Jamie Smith, and there is no run. First over. Surrey winning the toss bowling. Glamorgan, one without loss in the first over as Jacks is in and Lloyd backs away and cuts. Good looking shot this. That's going to race away over the boundary rope and away for 4. Nicely put away by David Lloyd. First short ball, and he's put it away to the boundary, James Harris.
Yeah, that's a great shot there from David Lloyd, putting away that delivery. It's always interesting you play on grounds of this shape with one short boundary and one long, and it's often everyone fixates on the short boundary, but it's often the twos that are taken to the long boundary that really determine the game. So it'll be interesting to see how this continues.
Might get some threes tonight as forward goes Lloyd and plays Will Jacks back up the pitch. There's no run. Tidy first over from Will Jacks. 1 over gone. And Glamorgan here on BBC Wales Sport, BBC Radio London. And we'll be joining 5 Live Sports Extra at some point quite soon. Glamorgan are 5 without us.
Yeah, so not too much in the way of big shots, just a little chip from Selman and a force through the offside by David Lloyd, as we will have Dan Moriarty, slow left arm from the pavilion end. Double spin, Mark.
Double spin. I think actually what James Harris was talking about, exactly right. I think it will be an interesting chase for Surrey this evening. And we were talking about the size of the boundaries. I think you will see some threes tonight. I think there will be, and running hard between the wickets will be key this evening.
Here comes Moriarty then to bowl to Selman, who plays it, tries to play it into a gap on the offside, but doesn't find the gap as it's fielded at cover by Jason Roy. The floodlights on. It's an interesting subject for Welsh listeners, since the Glamorgan floodlights are currently not in operation, unfortunately. Moriarty bowls, and that's lofted over deep mid-off by Selman. Has he got enough on it? Yes, he has. It holds up just inside the boundary, and they come back for 2 runs. That was a long, long way into the air.
It just fell short of the boundary and sort of plugged in the outfield. If this star is anything to go by, we're going to see a lot of spin bowl tonight with Surrey's spinners as well as Glamorgan's too.
Here comes Moriarty at 7 for no wickets, and Selman plays the same shot again, and he's got a better strike on that one, hitting it inside out. A couple of bounces up towards the changing rooms, and that is 4 for Selman, and Glamorgan move on to 11, more middle on that one.
Yeah, that's a beautiful shot from Nick Selman. No fuss, easily pushed over the top of mid-off, away from more trouble and away from more fielders into the boundary.
Selman on to 7 on this rather cloudy, sultry evening in South London, as Selman forces to square leg, but there's a sprawling stop there by Matt Dunn, and he prevents a single being taken. Applaud from the home crowd. 4,008. I haven't seen this many people in a sports ground, for about 15 months myself. The Selman drives back to the bowler. Moriarty fields in his follow-through. As Cardiff has been limited to crowds in the 100 so far, and is only going up as far as around about 1,500 or so for the next week or two. Moriarty bowls, and Selman forces away to mid-wicket. That is where one of the sweepers, one of the outfielders is. So just the single taken. So an interesting battle in that over. 7 runs off it. Nick Selman has taken the strike. Glamorgan 12 for naught after 2 here on BBC Sport Online, and of course via the Surrey and Glamorgan cricket websites.
Well, there was a cracking atmosphere at Lord's on Thursday night, with around about 4,000 in there as well. 4,000 in tonight. Nice hubbub already around the place. Great to have supporters back in, members tonight, back inside the ground this evening. And first time this summer here in South London, of course, as Jacks will continue from this Vauxhall End. Shout for LBW as a little reverse sweep comes out from Salmon. Got a bit of bat on that, hence it not being given. I think James Harris, had he not got a bit of wood on that, he could have been in a spot of bother.
Yeah, that looked pretty straight, to be perfectly honest, but a little bit of bat or a little bit of glove has made sure that he was safe.
Single here as David Lloyd uses his feet, pushes this one up towards Tom Curran, stood on the edge of the circle at mid-off. Yeah, it's t-shirt and shorts weather tonight. Even though it's cloudy, it is warm. I must admit, all three of your commentary team tonight are in shorts.
It's a good job we're not on the video stream, eh?
Well, there is a commentator cam, but thankfully it's not being used tonight. It's only top half, as this is a good shot from Salmon, up and over the top, all the way over long off for 6. So very good shot from Salmon, a little bit more air on that one, and just going straight over long off, and again short boundary down there, and our first 6 of the evening.
Yeah, beautifully targeting the short boundary there from Nick Salmon.
13. There's a little flatter this delivery. Salmon's looking to work leg side. It squirts into the offside. Jason Roy comes sliding round, doesn't actually pick up cleanly, and Salmon will get a single. He moves on to 14. Third over. Glamorgan stuck in by Surrey. 19 without loss. As Jacks is in once again, and that's a flatter delivery, and this is flat batted straight down the ground by Lloyd. He did the right thing there, because I think Jack saw him coming and fizzed it in, trying to go past his outside edge, and as long as he got bat on that, he was all right. Otherwise, Jamie Smith was waiting behind the stumps. I think he wants a deep backward square now, so bringing Jordan Clark up from long on to mid on for Salmon, and Matthew Dunn goes out to deep backward square. Round the wicket goes Jacks, and Salmon uses his feet, tucks this one out towards the big figure of Jamie Overton. They won't take on his arm, I wouldn't have thought. Nope, they settle for the single. 3 gone, and at the moment, James Harris, Glamorgan just ticking along quite nicely after 3 overs, 23 without loss.
Yeah, absolutely. They've moved on to 23 without too much trouble, really. There's been a couple of shots over the top, but they've managed to take their opportunities to take some singles into the leg side when they've had chance. I think we're looking at potentially a bowling change. I think we're looking at the first over a seam that we're going to have this evening so far. But I think that this evening, the way things have gone so far, is probably going to be dominated by the spinners. We could see north of 20 overs in the game, I think, at this rate, bowled by the spinners, which will be interesting.
Yeah, certainly Glamorgan have got plenty of options among the slow bowlers, with Sisodia, Salter, Labuschagne having already bowled, and potentially Ingram to join them in this competition. It's going to be Matt Dunn, though, from the pavilion end, who will be bowling to Nick Salmon on 17 not out, and running towards us is Dunn, and Salmon flashes outside off stump and doesn't make any contact through to Jamie Smith.
Nick, knowing how batsmen go in T20s and knowing how much they enjoy batting in the power plays, pace on the ball is really important to them, so expect these next couple of overs, if there is pace on the ball, to be targeted by the batsmen.
As the outfielders are at square leg and long on, as Dunn is into bowl, and Salmon plays into the offside, but still finds one of the cover fielders, and again a dot ball. If he gets some sort of skinny bat on it, third man fine leg, potentially runs there with the fielders up in the circle, as James says. Sultry evening. The match 2 years ago was held up by lightning, believe it or not, as Dunn is in to bowl, and Salmon slogs that over mid-wicket, and he'll get 4 runs for it. That was extremely agricultural, but effective nonetheless. 27 for naught.
Yeah, T20 batting at its finest right there. Slightly back of a length from Matt Dunn, and it disappeared over mid-wicket. It is a really hard time to bowl as a seam bowler with 2 fielders out, pace on the ball, and a really fast oval outfield all around the ground here. So yeah, Matt Dunn's started well, but he's going to be put under pressure for these last 3 balls of his over.
27 for naught. Done in again to Selman, who does get that skinny edge that I was talking about completely accidentally. It was the inside edge, and it shoots down to the fine leg boundary for 4 runs, 31 without loss.
I tell you what, it's a tough game if you're a seamer. It's not fair sometimes. Matt Dunn's done exactly what he wanted. The ball was hit at the top of off stump, and bar an inside edge would have seen Nick Selman stumps out the ground, but instead it's 4. And 8 off 4 balls is a good start for the Glamorgan batsmen against the seamers.
Here comes Dunn again. What's he got in his lockers? Selman goes big over mid-wicket, and he's lofted that one away for 6 runs. Well, it doesn't matter where you put your fielders if they're going to be cleared anyway. And Selman, who's quite a dour championship batsman, seems to be relishing this responsibility at the top of the order. He's raced on to 31.
He does. You can call him that as a championship batsman, but I mean, he's got a really good record in this format. He kind of sneaks under the radar somewhat, but if you look at his stats, he scores them pretty quickly, and he's got a good average. So, and he's probably just shown why there, picking up a ball off the stumps, taking it over mid-wicket to the short boundary, and putting it into the crowd.
Can I just say, I want to get hold of that bit of audio of the sound of that shot and have it as my ringtone on my phone, because you could have shut your eyes there and you knew it was 6. That made the most beautiful noise off his bat.
37 for naught. As last ball sees it flicked up towards square leg. Has he cleared the fielder? Yes, he has. A leap by Clark on the square leg boundary, but couldn't get a mitt on it. And that is a couple of maximums. And all of a sudden, Nick Selman has taken 20 off an over of seam from Matt Dunn. And that's, James, I suppose, illustrates why seamers probably don't look at their captain in the power play overs. You don't want me to bowl yet, do you?
I tell you what, it's hard, but you try and evaluate as you go through, and both teams will have picked up on that and known that 1 over a seam so far out of the 4 that have been bowled has gone for the most runs and looked the easiest to score off. We're going to see Sam Curran coming on now, who's obviously a high quality bowler, but it really does tell both captains that spin might be the way to go on this pitch so far.
Well, that little inside edge went for 4, and then 2 gorgeous shots targeting the short leg side boundary from Salmon. Here's Sam Curran then from the Vauxhall end, bowling off 5th over. Oh, Lloyd is sweeping straight away, 1 bounce and away for 4. That's a good shot from Lloyd as well, almost down on 1 knee. And away it goes. So Salmon with a couple of 6s, and now Lloyd's got going with that boundary. Be very interesting this, how Gareth batting. He's got so many options. Sometimes you wonder if he's got too many options. Still got Tom Curran to come, Jordan Clark himself, still got his spinners. As over the wicket comes Sam Curran again. Oh, he's gone again, leg side, this will be out. Jamie Overton will take the catch through the pigeons. Good comeback from Sam Curran. Lloyd trying to repeat the shot, and I think just took a little bit of pace off that, did Sam Curran. And Lloyd, it was like catching practice in the morning for Jamie Overton. And James Harris Lloyd goes for 10, but I think that's quite a canny piece of bowling from Sam Curran with that long boundary. And Glamorgan 47 for 1 in the 5th.
It's something that would have been spoken about in the dressing room before the game started. Make the batsman hit to the long side of the ground, and that's exactly what Sam Curran's there. He hasn't left the stumps. David Lloyd tried to repeat the shot over fine leg, only succeeded in getting quite a big top edge really towards deep backward square leg, and it was taken easily. And that Glamorgan charge has perhaps been halted a little bit, but they've still got off to what you describe as a pretty good start from where they were.
Next up, I'll tell you what, they've given this man a bit of a platform. Marnus Labuschagne. Here comes Marnus Labuschagne. So looking forward to this. Marnus Labuschagne, who's back-to-back 50s in the T20, almost won the opening game against Gloucestershire single-handedly, it looked like.
Yeah, so here in the dark, couldn't quite see much at the time, and I'm amazed that he could see the ball, because we were struggling to see the middle of it. If it hadn't been for the lights off the board, I don't think we'd have been able to see the players. It was, but well, he must be eating his carrots, Marnus Labuschagne.
Well, he should see it all right tonight. Lights are on. It's a pretty good evening, and I think he'll be relishing being here as well. I think 4,000 in, back here, South London, test ground. I think he'll enjoy this. Marnus, as they crossed, so Salmon's back on strike, and Sam Curran's on a length straight away. Salmon pushes this one out towards extra cover, Laurie Evans. comes up to do the fielding, and there is no run. Overton is a long way out. That is a long old boundary out towards Archbishop Tennyson's school. Jamie Overton, he's miles away there. You've got to get all of it. If you go leg side from this Vauxhall End, you're going to have to get everything on it. As Sam Curran is in, goes short, and that just hurries Salmon a touch as he looks to pull. That runs down towards the captain, Gareth Batty, who's grazing down there at fine leg, and that will bring Labuschagne onto strike for the first time. But what do you think, Mr. Harris? I think with a crowd in here, I think you'll quite fancy this tonight, won't it?
You know what? This man is possibly one of my favourite people I've ever played with or against. We all love cricket. Everyone loves playing, but I don't think anyone loves it as much as this guy. He really eats and breathes. Well. He eats and breathes the game. He really does.
Well, here he is. Right-handed, of course. First delivery. Sam Curran into him, and he's pulling straight away behind square, off his hip and away for 4. It's a lovely start for Labuschagne. A little bit short from Sam Curran, just helps it away behind square.
It's an ominous start from a Surrey point of view. He's just showing the form that he's in there, picking that ball up off the top of the stumps, off his hip, just behind square, with a minimum of effort to open his account with a boundary.
Yeah. This could be fun, actually. The other thing is, with the 50 coming up now in the 5th over with that boundary, he'll enjoy the international attack as well, I would think, because this is short again from Sam Curran. He's pulling out towards Jamie Overton at deep backward square, and Labuschagne picks up a single. End of the Sam Curran over, all action. First wickets, the music is revved up here in South London. It gets Mr. Webb moving away to my right hand side. 5 overs have gone. Glamorgan 53 for 1, but I have to say, it is rather lovely having a bit of an atmosphere again, isn't it? We've missed all this.
It makes such a difference having a crowd in. It really does, especially in this format. The players feed off the energy from the crowd, and together it just works wonderfully. And we've experienced it all for the last year or so without anybody in the grounds. But to see people filtering back in is a wonderful thing, and I know it's something the players absolutely love.
So here we go then, with Jordan Clark taking over from Matt Dunn after that over went for 20, and Surrey shuffling their resources round, as indeed do so many sides. It's probably more frequent to get a bowling change than someone bowling 2 overs in a row, as Labuschagne fishes at that one outside off stump from Clark and is beaten. Jordan Clark, not a favourite of Glamorgan's supporters, because in Lancashire Guys he had a dramatic 3-wicket over to prevent Glamorgan getting to finals day a few years back. James Harris, of course, could have dropped into the fact that he outscored Marnus Labuschagne in the game they played together this season. As Jordan Clark is in to bowl, and Labuschagne drives to mid-off, and there is no run. Harris 18 not out, Labuschagne 11. There we are.
That's very kind of you to say so, Nick. I'm not sure it would happen every day of the week, but yeah, we could call that one my day if you want to go down that route on that particular one. Great start from Jordan Clark, 2 dots. It's exactly what you want, really, especially in the last over of the power play, which is an over that everybody looks to target to really put pressure on and to take advantage.
Here we go then. 4 balls left of the power play. Clark to Labuschagne, who drives through the offside off the back foot. I think he might have clipped a pigeon there as it rolls out towards cover point, and they take a single. 54 for 1. Those could be rather problematic for big Jamie Overton over there on our right.
It always seems to be a feature at the Oval. I don't know if it's the particular grass seed or something that's down, but there always seems to be pigeons on the outfield here.
More than at Lord's?
Yes, but I don't know why.
Something to do with ecosystems. 54 for 1. Jordan Clark in. Selman beaten outside off stump as he tried to hoik through the leg side, and it wasn't really the ball to do so. So an excellent over from Jordan Clark. Just the single off the first 4 balls.
I might just add that I think the pigeons at Lord's are brighter than the pigeons here, in the fact that they always stand exactly where the ball goes, and there's normally a couple of casualties during a T20. Actually, Overton did quite well to take that catch.
Wow.
Because he was running through the pigeons.
Jordan Clark racing in, bowling to Selman, who looks for a big shot on the onside. They go through for a single. He didn't get much of a bat onto it. Matt Dunn with a throw at the wickets at the non-strikers end. They hustle through for the single. Marnus Labuschagne is... well, Nick Selman said he's a nightmare to run with, jokingly, because Labuschagne always thinks there's a run there. And Selman said, well, I'm no good at 2s and 3s. He was joking, I think. But maybe a nugget of truth in that Labuschagne is a more adventurous runner. Not on this occasion, as he drives to mid-off and hastily retreats to his grounds. 55 for 1, excellent over for Surrey, just 2 runs off it.
Love it. Great over from Jordan Clark.
There's a little bit of afters there as well between Labuschagne and Sam Curran. Sam Curran came sprinting in at mid-off and whistled the ball back at the stump.
Did it flick Labuschagne on the way through?
I think it hit, just clipped Labuschagne, but I think that is Surrey sort of saying, we know what you're going to try and do. You're going to try and steal singles of us. And then there was a bit of pointing between the two of them. Oh, lovely. That's why I suddenly went, love it, love it. I do apologise.
Labuschagne can't really complain since he throws at the wickets virtually every time he fields the ball.
What I liked about that was Labuschagne pointed at Sam Curran. Sam Curran pointed straight back at Labuschagne. Then umpire Peter Hartley wandered across.
Jason Roy got involved along the long way somewhere as well.
Absolutely. Not going to sit down. So, end of the power play. I think Glamorgan will be happy with that. 6 overs gone, 55 for 1. And Tom Curran is into the attack down below us for his first over from the Vauxhall end. And he's into Salmon, who tucks this one into the leg side. And they'll pick up a single as Jamie Overton comes in to do the fielding. But the thing with that is, Surrey know Labuschagne's going to push them hard. And Sam Curran there has come in very quickly, got the throwaway to say, hang on, just you stay where you are at the moment.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a big part of this game tonight. I think the team who plays these overs between 6 and 14 the best have got a really good chance of coming out on top.
So Tom Curran with his blue bandana on comes in over the wicket to the right-handed Labuschagne, and he's turning this one into the leg side. Here he goes, sprints the first, won't get a second, as round comes Jamie Overton to do the fielding. It's all about your angles. That's the thing here with that long leg side boundary. It's all about your angles, trying to take a bit of pace off it to be able to get back for the second. It's also who you've got out there, and they've got 2 out there with very strong arms in Overton and Dunn, Surrey. Tom Curran wears 59, runs away from us, comes in over the wicket, and slower ball this time. Turn by Salmon down towards deep backwards square. Fine leg comes up quickly, and Dan Moriarty gets the ball away, and they'll keep it down to 1, and that will bring Marnus Labuschagne back onto strike once more. You sort of know what the game plan is from both sides at the moment, don't you? It's just who's going to do it better. Glamorgan 58 for 1 in this 7th over. Labuschagne stands with that bat raised as Tom Curran's into him. Slower ball, Labuschagne clips it back, and it's put down by Tom Curran. Now it's a tough chance to his left, but it was a slower ball again. Labuschagne threw it a little early, and James Harris got a hand to it, and I think Tom Curran will feel he's probably missed out there, should have hung on to that.
Yeah, he'll be disappointed with that one. It was a slower ball, which probably meant that he had a little bit more time perhaps to be able to see that ball coming back to him, and he'd be really disappointed with that, because that's Glamorgan's, well, potentially Glamorgan's biggest wicket, and that would have been a big coup for Surrey.
And he comes once again, and this one's short, pulled behind square by Labuschagne, but again it's that Tom Curran slower short ball, and Labuschagne had to wait and wait for that, and then pulled it away behind square. That brings Salmon back onto strike on 41. Of course, Tom Curran well known for mixing it up these days.
Tom Curran's carried on with the bandana as well.
He has.
He's kept it for 2021.
Yeah, he likes it. Well, he's grown his hair as well, so he's actually gone from short to long. As over the wicket once again comes Curran, that's short, and Salmon pulls this one down towards fine leg. We'll pick up another single. End of the over, so a good one first up from Tom Curran. Could have had the wicket of Marnus Labuschagne, but 7 overs gone. 5 off that first over from Tom Curran. 60 for 1. Yes, the bandana's a new look. So he's gone IPL, I think, through the hair, and he's going with blue bandana. Whereas, of course, the bandana was fashionable last year. with COVID and everything. Mr. Webb, have you thought about it yet yourself?
My hair's receding fast, so it's a question of trying to disguise that and not look like a comb over. James Harris is currently bearded. Fashion fans, 60 for 1 are Glamorgan, as more spin, and Salmon plays the first ball from Moriarty through the offside and through the pigeons for a single. We're in the 8th over. You're on BBC Sport Online. 61 for 1. Labuschagne on strike. The pigeons are just beyond the fielding circle at cover, but Labuschagne doesn't disturb them because he slapped that one straight to cover, fielded by Roy. No run. Floodlights already making themselves felt because the clouds are quite dark over South London at the moment. As that's wide-ish and cut away, slight misfield at point, and Labuschagne will go through for a single, and Tom Curran might be a little disappointed in that one. Maybe the flicky hair distracted him. 62 for 1. Moriarty just looping in, bowls, and that's punched by Selman straight to cover, and he's gone for 43. And Glamorgan are being slowed quite dramatically here. They're 62 for 2 now in the 8th.
It's a tough time to lose a wicket. That Dan Moriarty bowling the ball nicely on off stump, and Nick Selman's just chipped one very, very gently just to cover there. He's got a fantastic record, Dan Moriarty. In his time at Surrey, both in first-class cricket and in T20 cricket, playing the Blast last year, he's done extremely well here at the Oval and away as well. And he's just proven why there. He's just taken the wicket of Nick Selman. And Surrey have just started to peg Glamorgan back here. The last couple of overs haven't gone very far at all. And what you would have said, Glamorgan were ahead of the game in the first 4 or 5 overs. They've probably been pegged back quite a bit right now.
Just on that, with Moriarty last year, his first season of T20, 17 wickets last year, and of course in the Championship as well already this season. His first game picked up 9 in his first game against Gloucestershire, which was his 4th consecutive fifer as well. So, and the other thing that Moriarty likes is he likes bowling against big names as well, so he'll love this. Ingram and Labuschagne, he'll really relish this with Moriarty.
So it's the left-handed Colin Ingram at the crease. He's back with Glamorgan after not getting over from South Africa last year due to travel problems. He's out for 1 in the first match and 11 not out yesterday. Moriarty, slow left arm to left-hand batsman, and Ingram is off the mark, just nudging one away through mid-wicket for a single. That seemed to stop a little bit on him, as a little bit uppish. 63 for 2 Glamorgan, as Moriarty will bowl to Labuschagne, wide outside off stump, and again Jason Roy is in business at cover, and there is no run, and it's a very good over from Dan Moriarty. 3 runs and 1 wicket. Glamorgan 63 for 2 off 8. And Surrey slightly, James, in the vantage seat.
Yeah, they've just dragged it back a little bit in the last sort of 3 overs. Pegged Glamorgan back, got that wicket of Nick Selman, but this is a big partnership now for Glamorgan. Labuschagne and Colin Ingram, the two gun players, and Gareth Batty now is going to bring himself on to try and take one of the big wickets and keep Surrey on the front foot here.
Yeah, and the impression you get straight away is pace off tonight. I know we were talking about spin, but that 1 over of pace from Matthew Dunn and a couple of 6s in that over, you could see Tom Curran was taking the pace off every delivery. So it's going to be pace off tonight, and Ingram will be on strike. Gareth Batty, the captain, then, with his off breaks. Into the attack down below us from the Vauxhall end. Round the wicket he comes to Ingram, who's punching into the offside. That's a lovely shot from Ingram. That's good placement as well, and he'll come back for 2. Lovely bit of batting that from Ingram. Just got it to the right of Jason Roy at short extra, and then swung Overton round to his left, sweeping on that cover boundary rope. Ingram onto 3, 65 for 2 Glamorgan. Batty's in, Ingram pushes this one out into the offside. Good running as up comes Matthew Dunn to do the fielding, but James Harris, what I meant about angles. That was lovely from Ingram for those 2 runs.
Yeah, with that massive boundary, what you get is some really big gaps. And the important bit about this period of the game with the spin on, it's sometimes not the easiest just to go out and hit the ball to the boundary all the time, but chipping it into the gaps, getting your 2s and 3s, adding up those runs through the overs without almost unnoticed at times is the really important part here.
So Labuschagne against Batty. As Batty is in over the wicket, reverse sweep is out straight away from Labuschagne. Doesn't really get a lot on this. And round comes Laurie Evans to do the fielding. And there is no run. Just looking a little bit frustrated in the last couple of deliveries. Marnus Labuschagne hasn't quite got his timing yet. 66 for 2 as Batty is in. Labuschagne goes across his stumps, whips this one out towards Jamie Overton, who comes up again. Seeing a lot of the ball is Jamie Overton, as they'd want, because he's the man sweeping out there on that deep leg side boundary for the right-hander and the offside boundary for the left-handed Ingram. As Ingram back on strike, and Ingram drives, but this time straight into Jason Roy, who does the fielding in eccentric fashion in there. I think it's fair to say, at extra cover, but got himself behind the ball. 67 for 2, 1 ball left of this Gareth Batty over. Ingram's down the pitch, Batty sees him coming, just takes a bit off it, and Ingram in the end can only push that one out towards extra cover, and just 4 off the over from Gareth Batty. And James Harris, you can feel a little bit of the pressure building now, can't you? That wicket's gone, the boundaries aren't coming, you can just feel Surrey putting a little bit of a squeeze on here against Glamorgan.
Yeah, that's a high class over from Gareth Batty. He showed all his experience there. He tends to bowl slower and slower as he sees the batsman come at him. Marnus Labuschagne, after hitting a boundary first ball, has now got 10 off 14, so he's a bit further behind than where he'd want to be. And now's the sort of time where Glamorgan really want to try and put the foot down and keep pushing forward, and they've just sort of stalled in the last couple of overs a little bit.
14 off the last 4, that's all. Moriarty to continue, and Labuschagne gives himself room and plays through the offside. Just the single taken. 68 for 2. These 2 batsmen will certainly back themselves to accelerate, but on the other hand, if after a slow start they get out, that really puts the pressure on the middle order. So crucial point of the game. As that's short from Moriarty, swung through the leg side from Ingram, and he's going to hole out in the deep at mid-wicket, and Colin Ingram does not get going. He's gone for 4, and Glamorgan a 68 for 3.
That's a huge wicket. Colin Ingram trying to take on the big boundary. Dan Moriarty just bowled it sort of a little bit back of a length. Colin Ingram went back, tried to pull it into the stands. Zonely succeeded in hitting it straight to Jamie Overton, and that's a really big wicket now. Early on in the innings, Glamorgan would have been trying to work out a good score, and being 43 off the first 4 overs, they'd have been looking at a really, really big total. But 68 for 3 now off nearly 9.5. They've obviously going to have to reassess and try and find out what score they can put together to give themselves a chance with the ball later in the evening.
Chris Cook is the new batsman, the Glamorgan keeper and captain, top order batsman as well. Bats 5 in this form of the game, back 6 in the championship, just to give himself a little respite, I suspect, after hard days behind the stumps. But Surrey rattling through. 7 bowlers in the first 9 overs. Moriarty is the first one to be bowling a third, and he has 2 for 11 now, does the 21-year-old left armour. He's into Labuschagne, because the batsman crossed, and Labuschagne forces through the offside. There could be a couple of runs here, as it's a sprawling stop from Overton on the cover point boundary. Good work from the big paceman, but they've come back comfortably for 2 runs to Labuschagne. Scoreboard slightly confused because they crossed while the ball was in the air from Ingram's wicket. There's an appeal for LBW from Moriarty. Labuschagne looked away disdainfully, umpire not interested either.
I'll tell you what, Moriarty will be pleased with Ingram. Said he likes the big players, and he'll be delighted with how that plan worked out.
Here's Moriarty to Labuschagne, who hits another one straight to backward point. Well, Surrey's fielders are certainly in the right place this evening. 70 for 3, and Glamorgan just cannot get going, having been 53 for 1 after 5. They've now added only 17 runs since that point, as Labuschagne will get another couple of runs. Overton, in identical fashion, slides to stop around about 10 metres in from that long offside boundary. 72 for 3, just 5 off again, and the wicket. And Moriarty having Glamorgan in a bit of a spin.
He's getting through some work out on the boundary there, Jamie Overton. He's policing the far side, the big side of the ground. He's been out there all innings so far. We haven't seen him with the ball yet. I'm not sure we will, to be honest, the way the spin is taking control here in the middle for Surrey. Glamorgan need to find themselves up to a decent total here somehow. Halfway through the innings and 72 for 3.
Yeah, I noticed Colin Ingram took ages to get off there, because Surrey would have they did set it up, and he went for the bit, and we said you've got to get everything leg side. Cook's first delivery from Gareth Batty, and this is punched down the ground towards long off, so Cook's off the mark with a single. Labuschagne at the moment is just trying to find his timing, but it's pace off all the way. And the thing is, Glamorgan will get their blueprint of how they're going to go about it from the way that Surrey are doing this at the moment. Labuschagne goes outside his leg stump drive straight into Tom Curran in there at extra cover, and there's no run. 1 over of pace from Matt Dunn. Even Sam Curran was taking pace off. Tom Curran as well taking pace off. 73 for 3, Glamorgan. Labuschagne waits for Batty and then tucks him into the leg side. Now here he goes, sprints the first. He might think about 2, but up comes Jamie Overton again. He's James Harris absolutely key this evening, isn't he, Jamie Overton? 74 for 3.
Yeah, he's going to do a lot of running out there. He's a quick guy, he's a big fella, but he's covering the ground brilliantly for Surrey.
Over the wicket once again goes Batty, and this one's tucked leg side by Cook, won't find a run. Remember John Abrahams winning a Man of the Match award in a one-day final for Lancashire for his fielding. Jamie Overton could be on for that tonight. He's everywhere. 74 for 3 as over the wicket comes Batty again, and this one Cook plays down the ground off the back foot. Up comes Will Jacks to do the fielding once again.
No pace on the ball from Gareth Batty.
Absolutely, they're just taking all the pace off here. So, and the other thing with this is, with that long leg side boundary, as we said, you've got to get all of it. You're so tempted to go big, but you've got to get everything on it. As Batty is in, Labuschagne's going outside his leg stump and then drills this one straight down the ground again. We'll get a single down here towards Sam Curran, but you can see Labuschagne there as he gets back down this end at the end of the over, just sort of looking skyward a touch. 76 for 3, Glamorgan after 11 overs. Cook has 2, Labuschagne has 17. But yeah, James Harris, you can see Marnus Labuschagne. You can almost feel his brain ticking at the moment, can't you?
Yeah, he's getting annoyed with himself. I mean, the run rate for Glamorgan's just dipped below 7 now for pretty much the first time since after the first few overs. It's been tough for them. We're going to see some seam back into the attack here from Jordan Clark. The leg side boundary will be short, and you can probably bet that Marnus Labuschagne is going to target that leg side here against the seam, because they've been so far easier to score off, I think, than the spinners.
So Jordan Clark's only over just cost a couple of runs, in contrast to Dunn, who went for 20. And the tattooed Clark comes in and bowls, and Labuschagne gets a fluky 4. Well, head up, that wasn't a great shot, and he's got an inside edge for 4.
Well, with my bowler's hat on again, it's still not a very fair game. Same ball as earlier, ball to the top of off stump, big hoik to the leg side, and it's been inside edge down to fine leg for a boundary.
80 for 3. Glamorgan needed some sort of impetus, even if it's not a very elegant one. So Surrey with 3 in the circle on the offside and just fine leg up on the leg side. That's a slowish, almost full toss, but it's been hit up to long on, and Chris Cook doesn't want the second run, so just a single to Labuschagne.
We haven't seen too many 2s yet, doesn't feel like, and that's on the ground of this side probably surprising. That's what you really need, is the 2s, because you won't get as many boundaries when the ground is this big, especially to one side.
81 for 3, Glamorgan, but well into the second half of this innings. 12th over. Clark in, bowls, and Cook dabs it on the leg side. Again, they're forced just to settle for the single as the throw comes whizzing into the gloves of young Jamie Smith, the 20-year-old wicket-keeper. 82 for 3. Labuschagne is 22 not out. Nick Selman top scorer so far with 43, and Dan Moriarty 2 for 15 off 3 overs, the hero for Surrey with the ball. Jordan Clark has a quick consultation. There's a little bit of chat between Chris Cook and the umpire.
I think he might have got some contact lens issue there, Nick. Hello, by the way.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin Howells is the member of our commentary team this evening. Jordan Clark is in to bowl to Labuschagne, who plays into a gap on the leg side. This time they'll look for 2, and well, there might have been 2 there as the bowler dashed off to mid-wicket to do the fielding.
Yeah, some great work of his own bowling there from Jordan Clark, sprinting after it into mid-wicket to prevent Glamorgan getting it 2, and Surrey are taking more and more control of this innings as it goes on so far.
83 for 3 in the 12th. Glamorgan could still get up to 160 with a bit of acceleration, but they need one of these big guns to get going soon, as Clark bowls a slower ball that Cook drives to mid-off, and they'll go through for the single. Surrey will be happy about that one, but it's noticeable, as you say, that even the seamers are taking all the pace off now.
Yeah, it's good work from Surrey, really. I think they've recognised pretty early on what works best on this wicket. It's often talked about bowling your best ball as often as you can, and this evening it seems to be the best ball is the one with pace, as little pace as possible for the batsman to work with.
84 for 3. Last ball of the 12th over here on BBC Sport Online, as Clark bowls and Labuschagne hoists that one over long off, 1 bounce, 4 runs, mid-off up in the circle, and Labuschagne going up and over from much needed boundary from the Welsh point of view. 88 for 3, Labuschagne 27, James Harris, Kevin Howells.
I'm supposed to be the neutral voice, but quite frankly, this is another London Welsh takeover here now, isn't it? The 3 of us, and we'll keep Churchy off for the rest of the night. On this sort of pitch, as a batter, if you're going to go for it, you've got to be fully committed, otherwise you're in trouble.
You do, you've got to be fully committed and smart. I think Colin Ingram, I don't want to say he got that one wrong, but taking on the long boundary, he had to get all of it, and you know, he didn't there, and that proved his downfall. He might have been better off trying to keep that one on the floor to that particular side, because this is about as long a boundary as you see anywhere around the country now.
And we're going to see Tom Curran bowl again. 88 for 3 then, 12 overs gone, Cook on 4, Labuschagne to 27. South Group only 1 match this evening in the Vitality Blast, and this is it, with Curran coming into bowl now to Cook, who's on 4 not out, and just guides that down a little bit, just enough width to guide it down to third man for a single. So Cook will move on to 5 and take Glamorgan up to 89 for 3. If you're out there and you're batting at the moment, James, in your own mind, are you starting to talk about a figure that you should be going at, or are you still sort of over by over at the moment?
No, absolutely. You go from pretty early on to try and get a figure that you can achieve, and you try and communicate that as well as you can back to the dugout, so the guys know what you're aiming for.
Labuschagne's on 27. Tom Curran bowls to him now. Whipped away, good use of the wrists. And we see the pigeons fly out of the way. It's only a single. It's the sort of shot that deserves seemingly more than that, because it was majestic in the way that he moved it on the onside there, but only gets 1. In some ways you've got to imagine that maybe the pigeons helped out in slowing that ball down. I don't know. But anyway, there are a couple of fielders out there. He'll have to settle for the single. He moves to 28 and it's 90 for 3. Cook's on 5 and he's facing again. Tom Curran bowls to him a little fuller, again on leg stump, just tickled round the corner, down to fine leg. 1 more, so picking up the singles, at least keeping the ball moving, but of course they will need a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely, and Glamorgan are going to be looking for 150 plus here, especially after the start they got. They need to put their foot down a little bit to get there, but they need 1 big over somewhere along the way, and some decent ones to help them up to that total.
Cook's highest score in this format is 72. 650 so far. Could do with something similar this evening. Is it that hard and firm? That's just going to be 1 bounce. 2 bounces just inside the rope for 4. looking if they can seemingly now to go straight and get, as we say, as much commitment and power behind it to try and bring up the boundaries.
I think so, definitely. I mean, Surrey have bought a lot of slow balls here. Marnus has picked that slow ball really well. Mid-off up in the ring, and he's decided to just pop it over his head off the back of a length slow ball, which is a high-class shot.
Settles again. And Bowles, and Labuschagne this time guides it down. Fine, but down to third man. He'll come back for two. Is good running or not? Yes. The throw, perhaps it's from the deep, needed a bit more power to come in, but the Australian took a look at it and thought, I'm going to take this on. And he came back for two. And perhaps that's somewhere where Glamorgan, not being overly critical, but perhaps turn ones into twos. They need to do that as often as possible with the pitch the way it is. 97 for 3 is the score. 1 ball left of the 13th over. And Tom Curran just shouts the man back in there from down at third man, brings him inside the circle to plug that gap there. So you've now got two just on the edge of the circle, down at short third man and backward point. As Tom Curran in and bowls and pulled away again onto the onside. They'll push hard for one, but this time Labuschagne has to settle for just the single. He moves to 35 and the score up to 98 for 3 with Cook on 6 after 13 overs gone. Decent number in. I'm not too sure if you've mentioned the problems seemingly still facing Glamorgan there, Nick.
Yes, in passing, yes, a maximum crowd of 1,500 for the next couple of weeks because of the strict implementation of social distancing between households. If you have one or two people from one household, apparently you've got to have 11 free seats around them according to the current implementation. As Moriarty bowls, and that's smashed away up towards deep mid-wicket. This time they will come back fairly comfortably for 2 runs because it was between the two fielders, and that is the 100 up for Glamorgan in the 14th over.
Just a general delay to the easing the restrictions is not good for county cricket anywhere, to be honest.
Indeed, as Moriarty bowls, and a swing and a miss from Labuschagne as he managed to get his back foot back just in time and marches off towards square leg and picks up the bails himself. He always wants to be involved, James. You've shared a dressing room with him this season.
I have. He was confident enough there that he wasn't out. He went to go and pick up the bails to make sure that the next ball was bowled at him a little quicker.
100 for 3. Labuschagne has 37 of them. As Moriarty is in to bowl, that's outside off stump, that's a wide. As I think bowler thought that Labuschagne was going to charge there. It's just a little feint from the batsman, and he tried to push it wide for a possible stumping, but Labuschagne stayed where he was. Moriarty bowls, outside off stump, cut away by Labuschagne, should be at least a couple, it may just go for 4. There's a diving save by Overton, who's the hardest working man in South London tonight, as he'll get the applause from the crowd. Cook 6, Labuschagne 40. They come back for 3 there.
They did. Mark Church said we'd have some threes
First
tonight.
3 of the night, I think. 104 for 3. Moriarty to Cook, who goes big over mid-wicket. Has he got enough on it? No, he hasn't. He's hauled out on the boundary. Glamorgan 104 for 4. Cook's gone for 6.
Hold on.
Oh.
For one moment, I thought he was turning around to come back again, but he wasn't.
Yeah, another wicket for Glamorgan there. Chris Cook taking on the short boundary. Didn't need to get too much of it, but unfortunately didn't get enough and just hold out on the fence. That's another big wicket loss for Glamorgan. Just as you felt that Marnus was just starting to get into gear a bit and they were starting to find a little bit of momentum. Just been pegged back a little bit, but Kieran Carlson now comes to the crease, who's a very, very good young player.
There is something going on here, James. I mean, it's going to be as possible for you as it is for me to work out. The umpires are not happy about something. They've not called him back. There was something that call caused initially Chris to stop and turn round and come back a couple of yards, and now umpire Hartley and Cook are having a word with Gareth Batty. Gareth does his usual, holding his hands up and says, "It's nothing to do with me, Governor." But what do you think might have happened out there? Can you?
Well, I feel that catch was taken by Jordan Clark on the boundary and whistled back in really quickly near Chris Cook as he was walking off there. I'm not sure if that had something to do with it or not, but everyone in the middle seemed to stop. I can only think it must be that.
A little bit of verbals flying around, maybe.
Possibly. There's been a bit of needle, isn't there, so far?
Yeah, there's Marnus Labuschagne didn't like the return hitting him. Here comes Moriarty again to bowl outside off stump, cut away by Labuschagne. He's pierced the field, and that's racing away down to the wide third man boundary for 4. And this is, well, it's Marnus Labuschagne against Surrey at the moment, because he is flying the flag single-handed for the Welsh side. 108 for 4. Labuschagne now top scorer on 44.
Yeah, Marnus took a little bit of time to get going, to be fair, but he's just starting to find his feet now. A little bit too much width there from Dan Moriarty, and Marnus found a gap beautifully.
Here comes Moriarty to bowl, and Labuschagne cuts hard down towards point, through the pigeons, just a single, as that man Overton, who not over-exaggerating, he really has done a vast amount of fielding for Surrey this evening. Glamorgan 109 for 4, and we are through 14 overs, and Moriarty 3 for 26.
Look at all those bowlers used already. Amazing. 14 overs gone.
Still got Jamie Overton, who hasn't bowled an over yet as well.
You'll be getting a bit grumpy probably down there, thinking, if you just stuck me out here to run as hard as I am and not get a ball tonight. Well, let's see. Labuschagne's on 45, and Batty bowls to him now, looking to reverse, and does. He'll just get a single, beating the 2 fielders we saw just a couple of deliveries ago. Of course, was beating the Curran War. The Curran brothers were down there, perfectly placed, found the gap brilliantly between the 2 of them. 110 for 4. 1 ball into this 15th over, and Batty again coming to bowl to Kieran Carlson, and punched along the ground up towards Jacks, who comes in off the boundary. So he scored a good knock the other night at Middlesex. A single to the total, and 111 for 4. Carlson's off the mark with his 1. Labuschagne on 46. Pound some form as Marnus Labuschagne. Can he keep it going tonight? Glamorgan certainly need it. Batty bowls, and getting down on one knee and pulling the ball square on the leg side. Pushes hard for 1. Have to settle for 1. What I love about that is he's pushing hard for 1, putting pressure at least on the fielders, knowing any slip up and it's going to cost them.
Yeah, he's really putting them under pressure there, Marnus. He's finding his feet now, creeping ever closer to 50, and boy, Glamorgan need him to keep going for a couple of overs yet.
They do indeed. It's the wily Gareth Batty bowling now to Carlson on 1. Carlson in the air. Is it going to be safe? Yes, it is. On the leg side. Oh, and through 1 set of hands, and then pulled back again by Jamie Overton. Well, it needed it. I think it's Laurie Evans who missed it first up, and then just pulled back inside the boundary. Well, by hook or by crook, how many did they run in the end off that? Did they get the 3?
Do you know what? I really don't know. That's me. I've missed all that completely, but it was a brilliant bit of fielding from Jamie Overton.
Just to pull it back in, just inside the rope, with his teammate having missed it just in front of him. Next delivery. Oh, straight into the body of Carlson at the non-striker's end from Labuschagne. Of all the places to try and hit the ball, straight at his mate. Thankfully, it wasn't bullseye. That's the good news. He's going to be all right. And Labuschagne, bless him, he apologises. And acknowledged by Carlson. Labuschagne on 47. Next delivery. In the air! Catching opportunity, man comes in from the boundary, falls short of Sam Curran, goes over him, allows them to go back for 2. And the score now moves up to 117 for 4. Well, they know they need to get on with it, Glamorgan here, and it's causing a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of drama out there. Labuschagne on 49, Carlson on 4. And Mark Church is back.
Well, I've just sat down and heard you mentioning bullseye there. I was looking up to see who won the caravan or the holiday in Torremolinos. But yeah, it's chaos out there at the moment. There's a bit of needle as well. There's some afters going on, which always adds to the excitement as well. So Mr. Labuschagne still there on 49. James Harris, I really don't know a lot about cricket, as people who have listened to me over the years, but I would say that Labuschagne is the key here for Glamorgan. Would you
Yeah,
agree?
I can concur with that, absolutely. Marnus batting as far through this innings as possible really helped Glamorgan's cause. Last 5 overs now, they'll be really looking to put their foot down.
Right, Sam Curran then to bowl our 16th over from the pavilion end. Carlson on strike on 4, and he's swinging Sam Curran for 6. Over mid-wicket, shorter leg side boundary. He's got a lot of that, and that's got into the Peter May stand, and that's always a nice way to start the over with a 6. Puts a bit of pressure on Sam Curran, and Carlson nicely put away, James Harris.
Yeah, it's a short boundary to the leg side here for both right-handed batsmen, and they'll be looking to target these overs particularly now at that short boundary. Great start to the over. Kieran Carlson's a very, very good young player. He's got a lot of runs so far this season, and he's put that easily 15 or 20 rows back.
Moriarty 3 for 26 today of his 4 overs. Very impressive again from the young man. Of course, for him as well, playing his first game here with 4,000 people. I hadn't thought of that. And he hasn't played in front of a big crowd like this. Did at Lord's the other night, but not here at home. As Sam Curran is in, this one's down the leg side, and this will be wide signalled. So that's 6. Even Sam Curran a little ruffled by that 6, I think.
Well, he's got 45 inside the circle and square leg inside the circle, so missing wide down the leg side. You can only say he's got that one wrong, Sam Curran. He's got the big boundary to the offside here for the batsman, so you'd suggest he's going to try and bowl slightly wider of the off stump, and probably with some slower balls as well, you'd think, for this field.
Jamie Overton still on for man of the match for his fielding. As always again down the leg side, Sam Curran. This will be wide signalled. So Sam Curran's gone 6 wide.
Could have been the double bluff, that. Could have been the double bluff. He's gone almost, well, potentially gone 2 leg stump Yorkers there with the guys up in the circle just behind square. So I don't know whether all bowlers in this format are always looking to take wickets. So maybe that's Sam's method there of trying to get another one for Surrey.
Well, his hands went to his head, so it couldn't have been too far away from that leg stump. As he's in again, Sam Curran, swing and a miss from Carlson, who again has looked to go over mid-wicket to what looked like a slower ball. He's almost swung himself off his feet there, Carlson, and it's taken by Jamie Smith away to his right hand side. That shot was more violent than the 6, and he got nothing on it.
That was some serious bat speed, that. It can probably only be described as a bit of a slog, but geez, he went at it hard.
Yeah, he was a bit early on it, wasn't it? Almost sort of played that shot last week and never caught up. As in over the wicket again comes Sam Curran, right up there on the bootstraps of Carlson, who drills this one down the ground towards long on, and they'll take a single as Will Jacks does the fielding. So this brings Labuschagne back onto strike. 49 not out, 39 deliveries, 5 fours. Could have gone early, dropped by Tom Curran off his own bowling when he was on 7 from memory, but just had a feeling here tonight with a crowd he would fancy this, and he hasn't let us down. 49 not out, minus Labuschagne. Sam Curran is into him, he's outside his off stump and paddles for 4. Brilliant from Labuschagne. Gareth Batty's on the edge of the circle at fine leg. It wasn't too far away from him, but he's leapt outside his off stump and then paddled it past Gareth Batty and away for 4. Labuschagne's third 50 in 3 innings. He's on to 53 with 6 boundaries for 40 deliveries. Very good innings, this James Harris.
It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Just hit the ball where the fielders aren't. It can often be so hard, but Marnus has done that brilliantly there with both men up on the leg side. Behind square, he's gone across his stumps and paddled it down there, and that's caused a change in the field.
Yeah, well, Sam Curran's just looked at Gareth Batty and said, get down to fine leg. Just flicked his finger at him and said, down at fine leg. So now long on comes up to mid on in the shape of Will Jacks. 130 for 4 in the 16th Glamorgan as Sam Curran's in. Labuschagne tries to swing this one into the leg side. Just went back of a length, did Sam Curran. Good comeback ball from Sam Curran, just a single. Out there to Jordan Clark at mid-wicket. Labuschagne again, he's looking to stick that onto the top of the Peter May stand when he rehearses down at the non-striker's end. So 1 ball to go of the over. 31 for 4 Glamorgan, 14 off this 16th over from Sam Curran. Carlson back on strike on 11 as Sam Curran is over the wicket turn. That is a slower one which Carlson waits for, swings one bounce out towards Jordan Clark at deep mid wicket. Throw comes in over the top of the stumps. 15 off the over, 16 gone, 132 for 4. So it's at this point, James Harris, I, in my capacity as a so-called professional cricket commentator, it's part of the contract, have to say to you with 4 overs left, what will Glamorgan be looking for?
Well, it's a 10 and over minimum here, you'd say, for Glamorgan. Get themselves north of 170, puts them in the game. They got off to a rocket of a start. Slowed down a little bit through the middle, but Marnus and Kieran Carlson here are putting a little quick partnership together, and they're going to hope to get 170 plus, I'd say, from here.
Fascinating Labuschagne's approach here. You know, he's only his 19th T20 match.
Isn't it incredible? What do you think? That's incredible he's played so little.
Partly because when the big bash is on, he's involved with Australian test matches and things like that, but he has played so little. Just get the impression that he's out to prove a point to the Australian selectors, because they're not happy, are they? Any cricketer with just being thought of as being good in just one format. Tom Curran bowls to him. It's in the air. It's behind square on the onside. One bounce. It's going to be 4 runs from Carlson, finding the boundary on this occasion. Moves to 16. Players such as Dan Christian just recently. We've had Ben McDermott called back just to go into quarantine just in case they're needed. Not the call for Labuschagne. That discussion was held a few weeks ago and decided he should stay with Glamorgan, and he'll be hoping that these scores, even though right now it's quite late at night, maybe in Australia, being noticed back at home, because this is consistently.
Oh, there will be scores. The Australian players over here, their scores are reported daily in the press back there, and you read it all the time about how well or not well their players are doing.
It's Carlson currently on strike. He's on 16. This is in the air on the offside. There's a man out on the boundary. Will it fall nicely for him? No, pulls it back in beautifully. Great pull back in that from Clark. Did well to start off with. You were thinking it's going to fall for him for a catch. Somehow jumps up and parries the ball back inside.
Put that down as save 4. Wow, absolutely. What a bit of athleticism there from Jordan Clark. Save 4.
What volleyball.
It was similar to what the high jump, except he didn't go over the bar. He threw himself back in front again. And this time it's Curran, a slower ball. Carlson plays that out onto the onside. Jacks comes up off the boundary, running hard and well for 2.
Tell you what, this is a brilliant 20 from Carlson. I've just looked, 9 deliveries for this, but taking a bit of the pressure off Labuschagne.
Yeah, he's just added a little bit extra impetus into this innings. And now you've got this really strange looking field, really, with everyone out on the leg side and the massive boundary, and then everyone up in the circle on the short boundary on the offside.
Carlson on 20, and Tom Curran bowls to him now, and that's a slower ball. It's a full toss probably. It's low down, and one more for Glamorgan. It's Jacks who's being called upon quite often down in front of us, running in from the boundary. So Carlson moves to 21, Glamorgan 141 for 4. 2 balls left of the 17th over in the South Group at the Kia Oval. No rest for these teams. Glamorgan in action yesterday, in action again tonight. It was a similar situation for Surrey, of course, last week, playing Middlesex one night, down to Taunton the next. It's Tom Curran again from the Vauxhall end, and that's brilliantly placed. Just a little bit of width, and Labuschagne will find the boundary through that vacant wide third man area. It's a 4, and Labuschagne, it's all built around him at the moment, but with Carlson trying to catch up, and he's doing a good job of doing so. But Labuschagne moves to 58.
Yeah, do you know what? Tom Curran's seen Marnus Labuschagne back away there, decided to change his plan last minute, go for the wide Yorker. Marnus managed to reach and stretch and get some bat on it, put it in the gap for 4, but great bit of batting there from Marnus Labuschagne. Glamorgan are just starting to find where they'd like to be again now. They've had a good couple of overs, and they're backing up again in this one.
Now, this is interesting, because the ball went into the crowd, and now it's come back to Mr. Cook, who, as usual, Nick Cook is one of the great men of cricket, isn't he? He can't do
one of the great characters.
Though, and I think he just wanted to sanitise the hands of Roy and Curran, because they'd handled it.
Come here, children.
Yes, exactly. Good on him.
Tom Curran to Labuschagne on 58, and that's a short ball and a slower one, but it's pulled behind square on the onside. Just the one on this occasion. And it's the completion of 17 overs, 146 for 4. Carlson 21, Labuschagne on 59. So Selman caught Roy, bowled Moriarty for 43. Lloyd caught Overton, bowled Sam Curran for 10. Ingram caught Overton, bowled Moriarty for only 4. Cook caught Clark, bowled Moriarty for 6. This is going to be Jordan Clark. We're not going to see Jimmy Overton bowl tonight.
Well, he's only bowled 1 over in the competition so far. And last year, he's a good guy to have up your sleeve. But if I quickly jump into my computer stats here, which are all on my laptop, I'll tell you how many wickets he took last year and how many overs he only took 1 wicket last year in the T20. As Jordan Clark is in to Marnus Labuschagne, who jumped outside his off stump. And bottom hand comes into this from Labuschagne, and that rolls away down towards long on, and they'll pick up a single. So yes, he actually only bowled 17 overs last year in the T20 and took 1 wicket, 1 for 29. Jamie Overton. And he has bowled this season, but it's only been the 1 over so far, and that was at Taunton. As slower ball from Jordan Clark. That's well bowled. Carlson gets bat on it, but it squirts away into the leg side, and James Harris, good start to this over from Jordan Clark.
Really good work here. Go back to Jamie Overton. Pace on the ball is what he gives you. Gareth Batty's clearly decided that tonight that's not what he wants. He's gone with his more perhaps experienced seamers, bowled a lot more spin, and there's been a lot of slow stuff bowled and slower balls bowled so far.
Kevin House, could you pass my other leather-clad notebook there? Because that's got my other Jamie Overton stats in. As in over the wicket comes Jordan Clark's slower ball, and this is slung down the ground by the right-handed Carlson. He'll move on to 22, and it's 148 for 4. But Jamie Overton with the bat this season, 27 off 13 balls at Lords, coming in at 5. Didn't bat at Somerset, but did bowl the 1 over at Somerset. As in over the wicket comes Jordan Clark again to Labuschagne, who swung him shot into the pavilion for 6 on 1 knee from outside his off stump. What a shot that is from Marnus Labuschagne. Outside his off stump, Jordan Clark saw him. He's down on 1 knee and has still managed to swing this into the pavilion for 6. What a shot that is, James Harris.
Marnus knew he'd got that early. He didn't try and run. He knew he'd hit that into the stand.
In over the wicket goes Jordan Clark. Another slower ball drilled back at him by Labuschagne, and that was catch it or wear it, and it hit the hands and went off towards cover, and it's just a single. And that was one of those that he absolutely nailed, that did Labuschagne, and that was as much protection of his face as anything from Jordan Clark.
They're the ones that scare you as a bowler. The ones that scare you when you're 15 yards away and it gets drilled back at you. There's very little time and very little you can do.
Scared me from up here. As in over the wicket comes Jordan Clark again. Carlson drives, thick edge, down towards Tom Curran at third man, who didn't pick it up in the lights. As the throw comes in, hits the stumps, direct run out. Brilliant from Tom Curran. Absolutely brilliant bit of work, because Carlson's come back for the 2. Tom Curran didn't pick it up for the catch, and then gets the ball, lets it go. Carlson back for the second, direct hit. What a bit of fielding that is from Tom Curran. Carlson goes, run out by Curran for 23. Good innings from Carlson, and it's 156 for 5, James Harris.
It's a great bit of fielding there from Tom Curran to hit the stumps from 60, 70 metres. Hit the stumps directly, run out of Kieran Carlson, who played a great little knock there. It must be said, he must have 20 off about 10 balls. Yeah. 22 off 13 balls. Great little knock. He's put Glamorgan in a pretty strong position here, but they obviously need to finish it off in the last couple of overs.
So Dan Douthwaite's out there in the middle, and that is a brilliant bit of work, because I think with the catch he sort of put his hands up as if he wasn't picking it out the floodlights, and then Carlson turned. It looked like 2 for all the world, but from the boundary rope to hit direct is a terrific bit of work from Tom Curran. That's the end of the over. 18 gone. 156 for 5, Kevin Howe.
He's a good Surrey boy, isn't he, Douthwaite?
Yes, he
all
was.
The representative levels.
Came through
Cobham,
the
Reed
academy.
School.
Yep, absolutely.
Although often he's actually played on this this ground. Probably a big night. Could have the family in. Hopefully the family will be able to come along and have a look. Let's see what he can do. 156 for 5. Douthwaite is not on strike. Labuschagne is. I think that Labuschagne was apologising there to Carlson as he walked back past him, because the way that Carlson just raised his hand, because I'm sure from Labuschagne's point of view he's thinking that there's two there. What on earth's going on? Tom Curran bowls now and bowls to Labuschagne, whips the ball away through mid-wicket, but just for a single, and he moves to 68 and the score up to 157 for 5. 24 years of age, Dan Douthwaite, Kingston born, as we say. He's played 18 T20 games so far, which, as we mentioned earlier, is not that many fewer than the international at the other end in Labuschagne. Douthwaite faces his first delivery. It's a short, slower ball, and over the off stump and through to the keeper. Had him beaten there. Douthwaite wasn't too short to commit to, and in the end goes past the bat and through to the keeper. I was just going to ask you earlier, James, I mean, you've been up in these parts now from down there in the beautiful valleys for some time, whether you've quite got your head around these lads who carry around these leather notebooks. No need, is there? No need.
I can't say so. I've managed to just about work out the tube. That's taken long enough.
Oh yes. Tom Curran bowls now in the air on the offside. There are two fielders, need to be careful not to bump into one another, and the catch is taken. And the catch is taken well, almost out of his grasp, but he was trying to go down and trying to get hold of it. Jason Roy takes the catch. It was a difficult one. As always, when I see two fielders running together, just a little bit worried, but communication was good. But in the end, he almost didn't get himself in the right position, but grabbed hold of it, kept hold of it, almost runs into his teammate, but keeps out of the way, which is a good job, because I think it was Jordan Clark there who had to get out of the way of. But it is another wicket, and it's the end of Douthwaite. So if his family are in, well, at least they've seen him out in the middle, but not for too long.
It's a really good catch, that, and it must be said the communication must have been excellent there, 'cause it's so easy when those things happen, where the ball goes up and there's two guys running directly at each other for them to collide and for the ball to end up on the turf. But for Jordan Clark to pull out of that, Jason Roy must have called very, very loudly and made it clear that it was his catch, and took it with a little bit of ease in the end.
Or it could have been Jordan Clark saying to him, "Oh, yours, mate."
Yeah, that's the worst thing. You don't want that. If you hear someone shouting, "It's all yours," that's the last thing you need when the ball goes up in the air.
Tom Curran bowls now and pulled away on the onside. It's the man who's on his Vitality Blast debut, James Wheel here.
Jamie Overton again, brilliant bit of fielding, quick to the ball on the long boundary. He's covered some yards tonight.
Have you got yourself an electric scooter yet?
No, but I'm a cyclist, but I like to pedal the bike rather than get an electric motor on it.
That was you talking about when Scott Borthwick, it's going to take me ages to settle into city life. About 3 weeks later he arrived on an electric scooter. It doesn't take you that long, Badge, is it? Whizzing around London on his little electric scooter.
He said that they're just everywhere. You don't have to pay for them, anything. You just jump on them, he said. It's amazing. 158 for 6. And Tom Curran about to bowl what should be the 5th ball of this penultimate overs. He comes in now from the Vauxhall end, in bowls on the leg stump and chipped away. Will he get the better of Roy? No. Parries the ball back in. Good sliding stop, good fielding from the international cricketer, and one more to the total, and the score moves on to 160 for 6. One ball left of this over. And Curran bowled how many overs now? It's his fourth. So it's been used for the full allocation. Just changing the field here on the next side to Wheel. Man just brought up inside, well, towards the circle, just behind square on the leg side, and then out at mid wicket as Curran bowls to him now on the off stump, and a play and a miss through to the keeper. Good bowling once again from Tom Curran, and that completes his 4 overs. If I can just drag the figures up as quickly as I possibly can. They're maybe not just totally up to date.
33, Mr. Howells.
1 for 33 from his 4 overs. Thank you, Mark.
That all came from my notebook again.
The magic notebook.
Magic notebook.
Just conceded the 3 4s.
But It's going to be Jordan Clark to bowl the last one. Now the key thing here is, nothing against the young man on debut, Mr. Wheel, but Labuschagne is on strike for this last over. So how many can he find? Jordan Clark is in. He's outside that off stump again, trying to swing leg side, but it's well bowled by Jordan Clark. Just a single. So Labuschagne off strike. 70 now. And if they could get up around 170, Glamorgan, they've got something on the board.
You're always in the game with that sort of number. It's going to be tough up top, bowling at Will Jacks and Jason Roy, but with 170 on the board, you're always in the game.
Absolutely. 161 for 6.
Tell you one thing, it shows the depth in this bowling attack when you can bowl Sam Curran just 2 overs in innings.
I thought he might bowl the last one actually. In comes Jordan Clark. Wheel swings him leg side. They'll want 2. Labuschagne is sprinting, but it's just a single as Gareth Batty comes up from long on. Of course, the other thing for Labuschagne is he wants to be on strike. So Wheel gets a single, moves on to 3. 4 deliveries left for Glamorgan. 162 for 6. So the field is long off, long on. Sweeper on the cover rope. Deep mid wicket, of course. And then third man, the 5 out as Labuschagne swings a full toss leg side. How much of this has he got? 1 bounce for 4. Didn't get all of it, but it's off to that short leg side boundary. Labuschagne's on to 74. Handy boundary. 166 for 6.
Creeping up towards that 170. Great shot from Marnus Labuschagne there, putting away a slower ball, full toss into the gap mid wicket. Big last 3 balls here. This could be the difference between sort of 170 or a couple of boundaries, creep closer towards 180 even.
Jordan Clark is into Labuschagne, swings in the air, it's going high to Sam Curran on the edge of the circle. Well bowled Jordan Clark, well batted Marnus Labuschagne, goes for 74 and 166 for 7. He was giving that everything, was Marnus Labuschagne, but just went straight up in the air. He'll be desperately disappointed to go with a couple of balls left in the innings, but James Harris, that's been a mighty fine innings from Marnus Labuschagne.
It has indeed. It's held the innings together tonight for Glamorgan. Marnus again, another 50, doing a brilliant job in the middle there and sort of guiding Glamorgan to what should be a half decent total really. It'll be interesting to see what we think of this total by the end of the innings, but or by the end of the evening rather. But it's been good work from Marnus through the innings.
Yep, very good innings that. So Salter is out there as Jordan Clark is in, and swing and a miss from Wheel because they crossed. Trying to go leg side, that beats the edge. This has been a good last over from Jordan Clark because, okay, the boundary from Marnus Labuschagne, but just 6 runs off this final over, and that wicket of Labuschagne at a crucial moment really, because as James Harris was saying, 3 boundaries or a couple of 6s from Labuschagne would have got that up over 170. Last ball of the innings, Wheel, swing and a miss. Oh, they've gone for the caught behind, and he's run out because he'd gone off for the single. It had gone into the gloves of Jamie Smith, and a bit like on the coconut shy at the fun fair, he took aim and just lobbed the ball back, hit the stumps. Wheel's run out, and that will finish Glamorgan 166 for 8. Glamorgan off their 20 overs. And James Harris, they've got something to defend.
Yeah, they sure do. They've got a score on the board. There's a little bit in the pitch for the spinners. We saw that. The seamers from Surrey bowled pretty well. Bar Matt Dunn's over that went for 20, which was the biggest over of the innings, I think. So there's a score on the board for Glamorgan, but I think after that start, being 43 off the first 4 overs, Surrey will be pretty happy.
Mark Church on commentary here at the Kia Oval. We're here in the 1845 stand. So Glamorgan 166 for 8 off their 20 overs. And in terms of the main highlights of their innings, so Nick Selmer making 43, Marnus Labuschagne with runs again, 74, 51 for the Australian. But as far as Surrey were concerned, 3 wickets off for 26 off first 4 overs for Dan Moriarty, and 1 wicket apiece for Sam Curran, Tom Curran and Jordan Clark as well. And there was some fantastic fielding to talk about too. Let's do so in the company of Rhys Topley. So what was your overall assessment of that 20 overs, Rhys?
Yeah, it was off to a good start for us at the start of the power play. I mean, we took wickets at key times, it's always nice to break a partnership as you're going through the 20 overs. Backed up beautifully in the field. I think everyone threw themselves around and definitely made up for some runs in the field. And then at the halfway stage, I'd say that we'd be happy to try and chase that score now.
What about Dan Moriarty? As I mentioned, 3 for 26 off 4. Taking wickets at key junctures is such an important thing to do, and he took 19 last season, and it was an absolutely pivotal figure under the tutelage of Gareth Batty, of course, 43 years young. How talented is this young man?
Yeah, Moz has got a lot of talent behind him. It's nice to see him pick up where he left off last year. He obviously took a lot of wickets in last year's campaign, and then this year he's in the wickets today. So it's good to see that he isn't having any second season syndrome, so to speak.
Yeah, and we talk about the fielding, by the way. Jordan Clark out on the boundary edge, presenting that 6 from Kieran Carlson, and then what a run out from Tom Curran. Tell us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable run out from TC. Only he'll be able to tell you that if he was meaning to throw it over the top or go for the direct hit, but there was some unbelievable fielding from everyone. Like you mentioned, Jordan's saving the 6 there, and then I think Jamie patrolled the boundary, the bigger boundary, quite well today as well.
Yeah, I mean it's such an important part of T20 cricket, isn't it? You talk about bowling, you talk about big batters, but obviously the fielding is really worth mentioning. It's just saving those runs or those incredible bits of athleticism that you see often on the boundary rope.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where if we made up for some runs in the field there. I think our fielding coach normally keeps a tally. I think we definitely would have been saved a couple, and we'd be in the plus.
By the way, if you're wondering what the noise is behind us, it's one of the crowd favourite activities here at the Kia Oval. Obviously 4,000 tickets made available for this game against Glamorgan as Surrey get underway at home in the T20 Blast. And we're used to this on a Thursday or Friday night with a packed crowd in, and basically it's a chance for fans to get a little bit of Surrey merch, get a little bit of Surrey prizes, and it's just a case of this ball being catapulted into the sky, and whether they can just catch it. It's a tennis ball, not a cricket ball, by the way. So there's a few catches that have been taken there and a few that have gone down as well, hence the oohs and the ahs in the background you can probably hear. Got to talk about one Glamorgan player, and it won't be a surprise who I'm going to mention here. No prizes for guessing. Marnus Labuschagne with 74 today, taking his tally in 3 T20 Blast matches to 226 already. He's all right at this T20 lark, isn't he?
Yeah, he's off to a flying start in the campaign. I thought he played really nicely today. He had a nice timed innings, and there was a bit of innovation when it was required, and altogether it was a real nice innings from him.
Listen, obviously we're biased here, we make no secret of that, wanting Surrey to win, but it's still at the same time nice to see world-class cricketers at this venue, isn't it? From the other side, we've had our fair share, of course, in our own teams, but it's nice, isn't it, when you see the likes of Babar Azam for Somerset, or in this case Marnus Labuschagne for Glamorgan.
Yeah, I suppose you do want to see them pull off a special innings against you, but then again you don't want it to tilt the odds too much in their favour. But also as a player you want to test yourself against the very good players, because it gives you a chance to see where your skills are in comparison to these international players that come over and play.
I know it's difficult, Reece, because you're up here, you're not down there, you're not getting a sense of the wicket itself, but 167 to win off 20 overs, what's your assessment of that?
I'd say that we're just favourites. I think it comes down to how their spinners bowl. And hopefully we can get off to a flyer, because I think it'll be pretty nice. The ball come on in the power play. Hopefully Jaxie and Jason can take advantage of that, and then if we're off to a flyer, then hopefully we can just see it home from there.
Is that? I mean, I know that obviously in terms of the strip that's been prepared, as we mentioned, a used pitch, it's right in the centre, trying to make the boundaries as big as they possibly can be, and that's a deliberate tactic, to try and nullify the opposition's biggest batters. But in terms of our own batting, when you've got this kind of target to chase down, is it just about playing positive cricket? As you say, get off to a flyer, put the pressure right back on the opposition, make the most of that power play?
Yeah, obviously with the fielding restrictions and the ball coming on nicely, the brand new Kookaburra will come off the wicket quite well. So you want to try and pierce the field, and you get a lot of value for your shots here when that field is up. But we've got the hitters all the way down the order, so it doesn't really matter if it's in the power play or out of the power play, we can clear the ropes. So I'm sure that there'll be a few people licking their lips at some of the spinners and trying to capitalise.
And just here in the PA, here in the hubbub, can't you? It's not just the U's and the R's, but those little individual comments, the reaction of the crowd to what they're seeing out here tonight. Does that just whet your appetite a little bit more? I know you're currently injured, but you're not too far away. And does it sort of think you go, right? You know what? I can't wait to get back training. I can't wait to get back into this side.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sat up here a bit envious of everyone else getting to play in front of a crowd again. Hopefully it's not too long, but like you said, the Surrey crowd is definitely making their voices heard. It's a pleasure to have them back, and I'm sure that lifts everyone when they're out there in that innings, and hopefully the batsmen will relish in it now.
Yeah, and just finally for you personally as well, Rhys, I mean, getting back into the Surrey reckoning means hopefully getting back into the England reckoning. I'm sure that must be in the back of your mind. I know you want to obviously take it pace by pace, as it were, but what about just the situation generally at the moment? I know it's up and down with COVID, etc., but surely you would love to be back with Tom and with Sam and with Jason in the T20 side with England.
Of course, even more so playing in front of the home fans. I think everyone watched the test, even though it didn't necessarily go our way, but the 18,000 that were allowed in were
It was great seeing fancy dress back at Edgbaston, wasn't it?
It was.
There's some cracking outfits, and just to be part of that atmosphere would be amazing. Well, hopefully you will get to taste that, not just in England colours, but of course in the Duck Egg Blue of Surrey here at the Kia Oval as well. Thank you very much indeed, Rhys. We'll talk to you again at the close of play, however it finishes. Remember that Glamorgan making 166 for 8. Big runs from Marnus Labuschagne, decent runs from Nick Selman as well, but Dan Moriarty with those key breakthroughs when it really mattered. Sam and Tom Curran getting wickets as well. Fantastic run out from TC, and also Jordan Clark getting a wicket too. So Surrey 167 to win off 20 overs. We'll put you back in the very, very capable hands of our commentary team, of course, Mark Church.
I don't think they're necessarily talking about it, but it's definitely filling people's minds. It's just something else as a little carrot that's just there dangling away in the background that, look, put it this way, as a player you always want to be involved. And there are several players at the moment who've been lucky enough to be selected and to be drafted and know they'll be part of the 100 later in the summer when it kicks off. There's also a lot who aren't. And a lot of those players are desperate to put their foot forward and to really show that they should be. And this is a massive shop window. It always is in terms of international honours and even T20 honours around the world now. The way we know that people from all over the world are watching our competition and are watching the T20 Blast and picking players up to go and play in the PSL, to go and play in Australia and to play all around the world in the T10 and in various other competitions. But to have this one on home soil, this is going to prove a really, really interesting carrot for players. They'll be thinking about it. It'll definitely be at the back of their mind. And it's such an exciting time to be part of English cricket with like you said, the 100 that's going to start very shortly. It really is a huge thing. It's going to be a massive deal. It's going to be on the BBC, it's going to be on Sky, it's going to be on everywhere on social media, and it's going to be the biggest shop window that we have for T20 cricket in this country. And I know to a man every player wants to be involved.
Okay, let's see if somebody puts their hand up as well. Big style tonight. But in terms of the game itself, how do you see this now playing out this evening? And then Nick will be joining and Mark will replace me.
Well, 166. I think Glamorgan will be slightly disappointed. I think they had a couple of opportunities early on. They got ahead of the game, and with about 4 or 5 overs to go, Marnus Labuschagne and Kieran Carlson were in. They probably got themselves ahead of the game there again. 167 to win. I reckon Surrey are going to go in as slight favourites to this, especially if Will Jacks plays an innings anything like the innings he played at Lord's last Thursday. He got 70 off 25 balls there and struck the ball into the stands many times and really did look a fine player.
So it's a big test for young Prem Sisodia, who did so well. He was their most economical bowler in the T20 last season, but has taken not a huge amount of tap, but has not been as economical in his first 2, 0 for 33, 0 for 34 this season. He'll be bowling to Jason Roy, one of the 3 players for Surrey departing for England duty at the end of this busy week for the home side. Sisodia then from the pavilion end. Roy and Jacks out in the middle. Roy 45 against Middlesex, Jacks 70. Both men then with scores on the board already this season. Chasing 167. Sisodia, left arm spin, bowls and clipped out towards mid-wicket by Roy for a single. Outfielders at mid-wicket and long on for Glamorgan in the dark navy with the yellow trim. Surrey in the teal-coloured tops, I think they're called. Or is there a better word than that? Last mark after this delivery from Sisodia to bowl to 22-year-old Will Jacks, who plays that ball back to him. Is teal the approved word or not, Mark?
If either you or Mr. Harris want your kitchen painted in that colour, it's duck egg blue.
All right.
Officially.
Okay. As Sisodia is into bowl, a big swing, the ball bounces down towards fine leg, and they'll run through for what I think was a leg bye. Indeed it was. Umpire Mr. Hartley confirms that. 2 without loss. It's quite strong for duck egg. I'm going to put duck egg as a shade or 2 lighter than that. As Sisodia will come in to bowl to Roy again. Floodlights shining out brightly, and Roy hammers that back past the umpire's head for 4 runs, very straight, and the umpire having to take rapid evasive action, which is one of the safety worries for umpires and bowlers, I guess. The speed with which the ball comes back sometimes. Thankfully for Mr. Hartley, it was a good few feet over his head. 6 for naught, Surrey. Sisodia bowls and doesn't get hold of that one, Roy. Plays it back to the bowler. Sisodia trying to rush through his over as much as he can to not allow the batsman any time to think. Ring 5 right on the edge of the circle on the offside. 2 on the leg, and Roy just plays that one gently up towards long off for a single. 7 runs off the over. Honours about even, I guess, there, James Harris.
Yeah, I'd say a pretty good start for both. Surrey be happy taking 7 off the first, and Glamorgan will be happy to get one of the power play overs out the way without conceding too much damage. Looks like we're going to have another similar sort of start to the first innings. We're going to have a double spin to start.
Yeah, and I thought Sisodia actually did very well there after being slapped straight back over his head by Jason Roy, and then just came back, a dot ball and a single. So against Jason Roy, that's pretty good going from Sisodia, young man at the start of his T20 career. So it will be spin from either end, because Salter will get us started from the Vauxhall end. Now, umpires Hartley and Cook are together having a chat about something, and then umpire Cook was on his walkie-talkie. So Jason Roy will be on strike. Just a reminder, that target for Surrey, 167. 7 without loss after the first over. Jason Roy will be on strike here to Andrew Salter. And the 2 back are a long on and a deep mid-wicket. As Salter is in over the wicket to Jason Roy, who's got up and over the top of mid-off, inside out and away for 4. So he's targeted mid-off, long on's in there, but he's gone straight over the top of mid-off, inside out. And James Harris, it just gives Salter something to think about. His first delivery going straight over mid-off for 4.
He's a tough man to bowl at, Jason. That wouldn't have landed too far away from Andrew Salter was aiming there, but it went over his head.
Salter's in once more. This is short. This is cut away for 4 by Jason Roy. So just dropped in this time by Salter after going inside out over mid-off for 4. Just drops that one in, and Jason Roy rocked onto the back foot and cut that one away for 4. Roy's got a start. He's on to 14, and Surrey are 15 without loss.
He's a dangerous player, Jason. That one from Andrew was probably a little bit shorter than he would have liked, but Jason just put that away without any of the fielders moving on the offside. He seems to hit it harder than just most other players, even at this level and even at international level.
Yeah, he looked better for that innings at Lords, actually, funnily enough, at Taunton on Friday night. Into his 3rd innings now in this competition as Salter is into him, and Jason Roy's gone down the ground again. 1 bounce, 2 bounces and away for 4. So gave that one a little bit more air, and Jason Roy's just stood there and gone straight back over Salter's head. And you just have to say this is good batting from Jason Roy. 3 deliveries, 3 boundaries, 19 without loss, Surrey.
It's a great start from Surrey, it's a great start from Jason Roy. You're really under pressure now as a bowler. Your first 3 balls, you feel like they've come out okay. All 3 have gone for 4, and now you've got some real questions to answer as a bowler.
Yeah, and Jason Roy there actually took that from about leg stump and went straight back over Salter's head. Salter's in again to Jason Roy. Well bowled. Jason Roy plays this one straight back up the pitch. Took a bit more pace off that one, I think, Salter. and Jason Roy threw it possibly a little bit early, and it rolls back up the pitch. It's a dot ball. 19 without loss in the second, Surrey chasing 167 for victory as Salter's in again, tosses this up, and this is swung into the leg side by Jason Roy. Will want to. Labuschagne's quickly round to do the fielding. They'll get back for two as the throw comes in. One bounce over the top of the stumps. Jason Roy's on to 20. This is a complete role reversal from Lords on Thursday night, where Will Jacks was doing all the scoring while Jason Roy watched from the other end. It's Jason Roy this evening. He's on 20. Jacks is yet to get off the mark as Salter's in again, and Jason Roy's gone down the ground again, straight over mid-off, inside out, one bounce and away for four. And I think you just have to say that is a brilliant bit of batting from Jason Roy, because again Salter's gone on about leg stump there to him, and he's just gone inside out, over mid-off and away for four. So it's a big second over for Jason Roy. 24 he's on, and Surrey after 2 overs, James Harris 25 without loss.
Well, that's a pretty special shot, that, from Jason Roy. He's used his hands and his wrists there to keep the blade open and hit that ball, turning back into him over mid-off. It's a great start for Surrey, and it's a great start for Jason Roy. Surrey are going to try and make a real dent in this early, I think.
In comes Sisodia then from the pavilion end, and that's forced away through the offside by Jacks. It's beaten the dive of cover, and that's raced away for four. There's no hiding place once you've beaten the infield, and Colin Ingram was left clutching at grass at a short-ish extra cover. He's 5 metres in from the edge of the circle, and maybe now he is retreating. 29 for naught as Jacks joins in the fun. Sisodia in to bowl, and that's rather dragged round by Jacks up to mid-wicket for a single. 30 without loss off just 14 deliveries. And, well, Glamorgan had a fly-up. Surrey have got even more of one. They've taken off even more sharply. 30 for naught, 2.2 overs. Chris Cook just trying to nudge his fielders round a little bit straighter on the offside. Will it make any difference? And they've got to be only 30 metres out. Sisodia bowls on leg side, helped away for half a dozen by Jason Roy. Salter dragging that one down a little bit towards leg stump, trying to get Roy tucked up, but he had room to swing his arms. And, nice pickup from the England opener.
Yeah, I think we can see the difference here between both team spinners. Whilst Surrey spinners went slower as they got hit, Glamorgan spinners have started to try and go quicker and quicker here, and the ball seems to be sliding on the bat, and Jason Roy's got off to an absolute flyer here, 30 off 11.
36 for naught. Surrey in the third, chasing 167. Sisodia bowls outside off stump and faster, and does manage to get a dot ball as he hits it to Labuschagne at cover. 36 for naught on a cloudy but warm evening in South London. Sisodia, hair flopping, bowls a little bit quicker, and take a quick single. There's a misfield though from Carlson for once as he raced in. It was dab and run from Roy, and he got away with it. 37 for naught. Not many players tend to take on Kieran Carlson because he's pretty lightning in the field, but Surrey did successfully then. Sisodia to Jacks in towards us. Side off stump and smashed away for 4 more through extra cover. Sisodia kicks the ground in frustration. It really is advantage Surrey because they have raced on to 41 for naught off 3. Glamorgan were 43 off 4, but 18 off the second, 16 off the third. Been a tremendously confident start, James Harris.
It's been a brilliant start for Surrey, they really have. Glamorgan would have been hoping their spinners would have been their trump card. Sneak in a few quiet overs early, maybe get a wicket or two and put Surrey on the back foot, and it hasn't worked for them at all. Surrey have got off to an absolute flyer, and it's going to be tough here for Glamorgan. They need a wicket fast.
Yeah, and I think the thing with these two is there's absolutely no margin for error, is there? Against Roy and Jacks, get it slightly wrong, and in this form of the game both of them are not going to miss out. So Wheel is into the attack down below us. This is a tester for James Wheel from the Vauxhall end. He's got Jason Roy on strike on 31. And 41 without loss after 3, Surrey. Another 126 needed. Start of the 4th over. Our first look at pace as Wheel is in, right arm over the wicket, on drive from Jason Roy, straight up to Marnus Labuschagne, who comes round to his left to do the fielding, and there's no run.
Best bowling of 3 for 28 in this format for Durham, and boy could Glamorgan do with that sort of figures from their new recruit here.
Yeah, and as I say, it's a test of this. Roy and Jacks. Roy's got a flyer as he waits again, Jason Roy. Right-handed, of course, wheels into him, and Jason Roy's just clipping this one behind square, wristily for 4. Just drifted onto the pads of Jason Roy, and that's nothing more than a flick of the wrists from Jason Roy. Whistles away, and again, James Harris, there is literally no margin for error, is there?
You can't get it wrong in this game when these two are batting as well as this. James Wheel generally brings the ball back into right-handers, which will be exactly what you'd want to try and do to these two to limit the width they've got, and he's drifted probably a stump or two too straight, and he's been whipped behind deep backward square leg for a boundary.
Roy on 35 waits again as Wheels into him, and this is down the leg side. Wide will be signalled, or has that brushed his pad? It must have brushed his pad, because nothing signalled by umpire Nick Cook. Jason Roy's just trying to paddle that fine, and he looked back and I think got the shock of his life there that there was no signal from Nick Cook.
That might be Nick Cook just feeling sorry for the bowlers potentially after the start they've had to endure so far.
Oh, I thought it must have brushed his trousers, but Jason Roy sort of looked back as if to say, hang on. 45 without loss it remains as Wheel runs away from us, comes right arm over the wicket, well bowled, slower one, and Jason Roy was through that early, bottom edge, and taken by the captain Cook. So good comeback this from James Wheel.
Dots are vital in this power play, especially after the start that Surrey have just got off to. Really good comeback from James Wheel. He'll be hoping for another couple of dots here. Even more so, he'd be hoping for a wicket, because breaking this partnership is going to be really important if Glamorgan are going to keep themselves in this game.
Well, he's 27 T20 games, James Wheel, as he's in again. Short one, hooked for 4. It could go all the way, actually, this for 6. What a shot that is from Jason Roy. That's landed on top of the dugout, down below us. And Jason Roy, banged in by Wheel, and he's just hooked it all the way for 6. Wow. And 50 partnership is up in the 4th over, and Surrey 51 without loss, chasing 167 here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. As over the wicket once again comes Wheel. Slower ball, shorter ball, and just worked into the leg side by Jason Roy. Just stood up straight, tucked that one away for a single. Jason Roy's on to 42, 4 overs gone here on BBC Sport Wales, BBC Radio London, BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra, and James Harris. Surrey are off to a flyer.
You know Surrey are going to come out of the gates like this. They're going to try and get off to a flyer, and geez, they have here. It was Will Jacks last Thursday night at Lords who got the team off to a great start. It's Jacks again, but it's more of Jason Roy, 42 in real quick time. Surrey 52 or 4 overs, and they put a real dent into this target.
Glamorgan are going to have to take wickets and keep taking them, with Tim van der Hochten taking over the bowling from the Pavilion end. Successful season for Glamorgan last year in this short format. It's 14 wickets, and the Sydney-born Netherlands international, right arm, medium fast, bowls, and down the wicket charges Roy and misses outside off stump.
Good start. You can only hope for a dot or a wicket with your first ball, and you'll take a dot at the moment the way these two are batting.
Just got himself a little bit overexcited there, did Jason Roy, having hit 42 off 19. Who can blame him? 52 for naught then on this dry but overcast evening. Pretty warm still for the 4,000 crowd as Roy slams that one away through mid-wicket. There's a beautifully timed cricket shot. Beat the dive of short mid-wicket and raced away to the boundary, away to our left. That was a good shot in any form of the game.
He can be so dangerous, Jason, when he gets off to a flyer, and he gets in that mood, and he's a really hard man to stop, and he scored some really big innings in this format and in white ball cricket generally, but geez, he looks in the mood here.
He's on 46, sorry, 56 for naught, needing only a further 111 to win. Van der Hoogten bowls and Roy pushes on the offside, fielded by Ingram. Dot ball. Ingram has a shy at the non-striking end just in case, but Jacks was safely back. They let you into the ground all right, James, being a Middlesex man. They didn't find any trouble in forcing your way past the Surrey stewards?
I didn't mention that on the way in, actually. I just said PCA and they let me in, not a problem at all.
There we are. 56 for naught, as Van der Hoogten maybe put off his run there, I think, by a blast of music, or maybe just lost his rhythm.
Bit of Beyonce, I think, did him there.
Oh, come the 100, you're just going to have to play through the music, probably. As Van der Hoogten in to bowl, and Roy gets tucked up and plays to short mid-wicket. There'd probably be a full band on the field at third man or something by the time of the 100 here. Colin Ingram, of course, the Glamorgan batsman, is part of the Oval Invincibles in the even shorter format that will be starting off in mid-July. 56 for naught. Ingram not succeeding tonight, as Van der Hoogten has lost it again.
Lost his run-up. That's all I can imagine he's done there.
Well, there was no Beyonce that time, was there?
I think that was just his feet. I think he just got a bit muddled up with his feet there and decided to stop rather than try and bowl it.
With the yips.
We don't like that word.
No,
we don't use that word.
You wouldn't. Tended to apply to spinners, didn't it? But this time he does deliver, and it's a dot ball as it's smashed straight at David Lloyd at backward point by Jason Roy. David Lloyd had a bang on the hand while fielding, had to go off yesterday, so you don't want to take too many blows there.
It's amazing how Jason Roy, that innings at Lords, he did look a bit rusty, which isn't surprising, and he's looked just so much better for that knock on Thursday night.
In comes Van der Hoogten to bowl to Roy. Slower ball, played straight to cover, no run, and Van der Hoogten mixing things up successfully in that over. Just the 4 runs off it, but Surrey 56 off 5, still in the driving seats here on BBC Sport Online.
Yeah, once again, a great start for Surrey. They're well in front of this game at the moment. Picking up on Mark Church's point there about Jason and how well he's hitting them tonight compared to the other day at the Oval. It just goes to show how unique this game is at times. Jason's faced 25 balls to Will Jacks' 5, and he's done the lion's share of the scoring and looked great.
Yeah, he does look good tonight, Jason Roy. And Dan Douthwaite into the attack down below us. Roy 46. Jacks has had 5 deliveries, he's on 9. But Jason Roy's seen most of the bowling so far, so this will be the final over of the power play. There's not that much in it in terms of runs. After 5, 53 for 1. Glamorgan, Surrey 56 without loss. Douthwaite then, right arm over the wicket from the Vauxhall end, is in over the wicket to Will Jacks, and he's on a length straight away. Quick singles taken to backward point as the throw comes in, and it hits Will Jacks, who immediately puts his hand up to say we're not going to take any overthrows, and they'll pick up a single straight away, and Will Jacks moves on to 10, brings Jason Roy on to strike on 46. 25 deliveries, 7 4s and 2 6s this evening for Jason Roy. Another 110 required by Surrey as Douthwaite's over the wicket to him. That's short and slow and wide, and Jason Roy is through it very early, almost plays a tennis shot there, and it goes straight back up the pitch, and he might need some chalk for the end of his cue there, Jason Roy. It's not a bad bit of bowling that actually from Dan Douthwaite, because he did Jason Roy there for a sec as Douthwaite's in once again over the wicket, and this one's whipped leg side by Jason Roy. It's beautifully timed, and the fielding is brilliant out there at deep backward square as the throw is rocketed back in, And Salmon, is it out there, who's just sprinted round?
Carlson.
Apologies. Yeah. Carlson sprinting round and diving full length. Brilliant bit of work, but they're back for 3. I think that's our second 3 of the evening. Jason Roy moves on to 49. 60 without loss now, Surrey, in this 6th over. Jacks comes back on to strike as Douthwaite's over the wicket to him, and Jacks drives straight into extra cover, and there's no run. So pretty good start to this over, James Harris.
I was going to say he's done really well here, Dan Douthwaite. This would be go time if you're Surrey now. Trying to take advantage of the last over of this power play. He's come out of this over really well so far, going off 4 balls. But if you're Will Jacks here, you're trying to hit a couple of boundaries off these 2.
Yeah, with just the 2 out, of course, for these 2 balls as Douthwaite's in over the wicket. Here he goes, inside out, down towards third man. What a catch that is! Down there at third man, coming round, diving full length.
David
Lloyd.
What
a grab from David Lloyd, because he's had to move round. He's really square out there at backward point on the boundary, really, and he's had to come all the way round, dives full length. What a catch from David Lloyd. Jacks goes for 10 and Surrey are 60 for 1.
It's a brilliant bit of work. That was something Glamorgan massively needed. They needed a wicket to break this partnership. Quite a unique fielding position there at deep backward point. You don't have to see that guy out on the boundary, but a shot that Will Jacks was trying to aim straight or over mid-off, skewed off a thick outside edge and is carried all the way down to deep backward point, where David Lloyd took a brilliant catch. That brings Laurie Evans into the crease.
Yeah, I think the other thing there for Lloyd would have been, his eyes would have been going towards sort of extra cover to begin with, and then suddenly he's had to come back to his left, and he's almost ended up down at third man, as we said, and dived full length and taking it just off the carpet. Terrific bit of work, just what Glamorgan needed. Bit of inspiration there from David Lloyd, and it brings Laurie Evans out to the middle, who of course has a very, very good T20 record himself. So made runs at Taunton on Friday night, did Laurie Evans, but 60 for 1 Surrey, with Will Jacks gone for 10. They crossed, so Jason Roy, the man, back on strike on 49 here. Jason Roy from 27 deliveries, and just Douthwaite just getting his deep backward square in front of square now, out there in front of the JM Finn stand as Douthwaite's in to Roy. There's his 50, just tucks it straight out to that man at deep backward square, and that's come off 28 balls from Jason Roy this evening, with 7 4s, 2 6s, end of the over from Dan Douthwaite, but picks up the wicket of Will Jacks. 61 for 1. James Harris, Jason Roy is looking slightly ominous from a Glamorgan point of view.
He is, he's looking in ominous form here. He's certainly found his feet, a really quick 50, and he's got Surrey off to a flyer. A good last 2 overs from a Glamorgan perspective. A good over from Tim van der Gutten. A good over from Dan Douthwaite, and that wicket of Will Jacks has dragged back that power play somewhat. But we're going to see Marnus Labuschagne's leg spin with the occasional bouncer, I would suggest, coming in, that he normally likes to throw in. Are we going to see any of Colin Ingram? He's gone very well with the ball.
Bowled relatively little, I think, in the competitions that he's played, Big Bash and Pakistani Super League. Of course, we haven't seen him in Glamorgan for a couple of years, and I think he's obviously behind Labuschagne in the bowling order, but I wouldn't write him off. Labuschagne and his eccentric leg breaks. Here it comes from the pavilion end. Balls swept away, backward of square, could go for 4, no, yes! Fielder down there, Nick Selman, got a reasonable amount behind it, but it cannoned away off his hands and over the ropes for 4 more for Jason Roy. He's to 54, 65 for 1.
Glamorgan can't afford those mistakes in the field. Should have been a simple 2 there. Should have been stopped, and they're big parts of this game that Glamorgan can't afford if they're trying to get back into it at the moment.
Labuschagne busily working away at the ball. Out comes the reverse from Roy, and got himself in a bit of a muddle. Through to Cook.
Yeah, the ball went down leg side. It probably could have been hit in the same place as the one before, but Jason already decided he wanted to hit it somewhere else.
Just 102 needed to win, and Roy decides where he wants to put the next ball, and that's into the stand at deep mid-wicket. That was a huge pick-up from the England opener.
Yeah, he didn't premeditate that time. He saw the ball slightly back of a length from Marnus, and he's rocked back and put it 10 rows back into the stand.
Now Labuschagne, an ultra-competitive beast, will not take to that kindly at all.
I was going to say that they've both got egos the right way, these two. There's a bit of that going on at the moment because Labuschagne won't enjoy that.
71 for 1. Now Roy makes him wait by flicking a blade of grass off his boots. Labuschagne bowls again, and that's hammered back straight past him. It'll be runs up to long on. There is a sliding stop on the boundary this time from Douthwaite, but they're comfortably back for 2 runs. 73 for 1 and 12 runs off this over already. Off 4. Labuschagne to Roy, wide outside off stump. Just, well, maybe thought Roy was going to give him the charge, but he didn't. Labuschagne again to Roy. Driven hard up towards long off, along the ground this time. 75 for 1. And Laurie Evans gets to take part in the game.
Surrey obviously felt very happy chasing, having won the toss and bowled. We haven't particularly seen any spin so far from a Glamorgan point of view, and Surrey obviously I think have made the right choice here, and they seem pretty happy that this pitch is going to be good throughout the game.
As Labuschagne to finish his rather expensive over, 0 for 14 last ball, and there'll be another 1 or 2 as Evans works to mid-wicket. Just a single, but still 15 off. Surrey 76 for 1 after 7. Go on BBC Sport Online, BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra, chasing 167 to win. James, no turn on the ball, but still slow bowling paid dividends for Surrey. What's that all about?
Well, at times you've got to try and create some pressure, and I think Glamorgan need to find a way to try and flip the pressure here. At the moment the pressure's all on them. Surrey have got off to an absolute flyer. They got that wicket of Will Jacks, but they need to find a way to build some pressure, whether that be bring some fielders in against Laurie Evans and try and bowl some more balls at him to try and force another wicket. But at the moment Surrey are well in front of this game.
Yeah, and Douthwaite, having picked up that wicket of Will Jacks in his last over, will continue from the Vauxhall end. Yeah, the other thing is Jason Roy, you could just tell in that first over tonight he fancied it this evening. 76 for 1. Laurie Evans waits for Douthwaite and he's driving. Gorgeous shot from Laurie Evans. That'll be 4 because Laurie Evans looked in wonderful touch at Taunton on Friday night. He is one of the best in the world at this game, is Laurie Evans, and what a gorgeous cricket shot that was, because it's on the up that and just drilled past mid-off for 4. Evans moves on to 5. 80 for 1 Surrey. And this the 8th over. We just got to wait, because when the ball goes into the crowd it has to come back to the umpire via boots, and then Nick Cook pulls out his sanitising wipes. We saw him in the Glamorgan innings going across and sanitising the hands of Jason Roy and Sam Curran as well, which was very nice of him. As Evans on 5, as Douthwaite's into him short, tucked away by Laurie Evans out towards deep backward square. They'll pick up a single. Evans moves on to, as he gets a slower ball this time, and just gets bat on it. Almost dragged it back onto his stumps there, did Laurie Evans. But in turn, there's no run. In terms of T20 cricket with the bat, Laurie Evans averages 34.63 with a strike rate of 134, 3,983 T20 runs, a couple of hundreds in there as well, 28 T20 50s. So it's a pretty good record that from Laurie Evans. Waits again on 10. Waits over the wicket to him, slower ball. He just opens the face, guides this one off down towards third man, and they'll pick up another single. 1 more to the total as the music's pumped around the Keir Oval once again with the floodlights on. 4,000 in this evening, and Surrey 87 for 1 and Jason Roy on 64. Laurie Evans on 11. Where'd you go here, James Harris? Did you bring Van der Houten back, who I thought bowled a very good first over? It's a tough tough one, isn't it, from Glamorgan now?
You probably do, yeah. You've got to find an answer somewhere. You've got to find a couple of quiet overs at least if you can't find another wicket. So there's at times you're probably got to take a little bit of a gamble and try and bring some fielders in perhaps a little bit closer. Try and stop a single in the ring. But the way Surrey are playing at the moment, that makes it very, very hard for them.
Labuschagne is going to get another over. He's taken a wicket in each spell for Glamorgan in the first two matches, as that's nurdled on the offside by Laurie Evans, and they'll go through for a quick single as David Lloyd dashes in from point. So can Labuschagne be the golden arm? It's a tall figure of Jason Roy, and ran miles past the keeper there as they hurried home for the single. 88 for one, some glowering skies behind the pavilion as that one is hit up towards long off. No, it's chipped to point in fact, and David Lloyd takes the catch as looking towards long off, which was where he was aiming, but Jason Roy has gone for 64 of 35 deliveries. Has he done enough to win this match already for Surrey, or can Glamorgan drag themselves back?
Well, I tell you what, he was aiming something incredibly violent there into or over the stand. I think he was trying to hit that one. Probably tried to hit it a little bit too hard and skewed it straight up in the air. It's a big wicket that, because he just thought Jason was possibly coming down a gear, possibly to see his side through. Needing they need under 7 and over now. Jason's played so well, he's got that rate down low. Sam Curran coming in at 4. He's turned himself into a mighty fine player in the last couple of years. Loads of experience, IPL experience. Having MS Dhoni as captain, telling him to go out and open the batting and free himself and play. You've seen him flourish in the recent time.
Remarkable promotion, really, considering that he was probably round about 7 when he came into the side. Now batting at 4. The younger of the Curran brothers, Tom, had 4 overs compared with Sam's 2 with the ball, but both contributing to this Surrey side in spades. 88 for 2 then. Labuschagne to Laurie Evans, and he drives through the offside for a single. 89 for 2. Must have crossed while the ball was in the air. You're listening to BBC Sport Online and 5 Live Sports Extra. Also available via the Surrey and Glamorgan websites with the video streams. 89 for 2, Surrey chasing 167 for victory over Glamorgan.
He's an angry man when he gets out, Jason. We've just seen him waving his arms around at the far side of the ground. He's just made it back into the dressing room only now. Wasn't happy with that shot.
I was looking down towards long off, as I said on commentary. I didn't realise he'd certainly much of an aerial skew, as back on his stumps goes Curran Jr. and defends back to the bowler. Dot ball, 89 for 2. Labuschagne, ultra competitive animal, into bowl, and Curran plays another ball back to him.
Brilliant over this, isn't it, from Marnus Labuschagne?
It is so far, but things can change within a couple of deliveries, can't they, if Curran has a swing here. Comes down the wicket and plays it nicely through the offside, but has to adjust. They've taken a single, 90 for 2. I think Labuschagne probably saw him coming and fired it through a bit more quickly.
It's a really good over from Marnus Labuschagne there. He's got the wicket, he's gone for 3. It's exactly what Glamorgan needed in the situation. They could do with backing that up with another couple of single figure overs, or really low overs, to drag themselves back into this game and try and put some pressure on Surrey. The run rate for Surrey needed now is only 7, so another couple of quiet overs. Need to drag that up a bit further and get Glamorgan to drag themselves back into this game if they can.
Great. That was a real box office battle between those two. Jason Roy and Marnus Labuschagne. First over, Jason Roy wins the first over. Hit one enormous 6. But then Marnus Labuschagne comes back and gets rid of Jason Roy. So terrific stuff from those two gentlemen. And great fun this. It's always interesting when you get to, as Mr. Webb called Marnus Labuschagne, competitive animal. Exactly the same with Jason Roy. Neither was going to lie down quietly. So Salter's back into the attack from the Vauxhall end to bowl his off breaks to the left-handed Sam Curran. He's on 1. Oh, now that's turned. Shout for LB, given.
Given out.
He's given it. Umpire Nick Cook's given it. Now that's a shout for LBW because it wasn't taken cleanly behind the stumps, and that's a shout for LBW. It's turned round the wicket, it's hit the pads, and the shout went up, and Nick Cook's put the finger up, and Sam Curran didn't look best pleased, but Sam Curran has to go for one. Big wicket, 90 for 3, James Harris.
It's a huge wicket. That just makes things a little bit more interesting. I think possibly more interesting than the wicket itself was how sharply that ball spun. That was the first one we've seen really spin that sharply. It was a really good delivery from Andrew Salter, and a really big wicket of Sam Curran.
That is a huge wicket, and as James Harris says, it did turn, and then the shout went for LBW. Just for a second I thought they'd gone up for caught behind in the fact that it turned that much, but then wasn't taken cleanly, and then up went the finger from umpire Nick Cook. So 90 for 3, and Jamie Overton is out there at number 5 for Surrey in this, the 10th over. So 3 quick wickets for Glamorgan, and 90 for 3 Surrey. Glamorgan at halfway were 72 for 3, so Surrey are ahead in terms of runs, but Glamorgan picking up those wickets. But again, they keep coming. Jamie Overton's not just going to knock the ball back. Salter is into him, and Overton's sweeping, and shout again from Salter, hitting the pad, running off down towards fine leg. The chase is on. It's a good chase. The ball's knocked back, and they'll get back for 3. Just watching Nick Cook bit of bat from Jamie Overton. So Overton's off the mark with 3. 93 for 3, and the tall figure of Jamie Overton off the mark straight away. Laurie Evans comes back on to strike on 13. It's a good chase, that.
I think they said that's 4.
Have they said that's 4? They have. Now they've gone upstairs and decided that was 4. I think that's come from the fielder, you know. I think that has come from the fielder, because we're not on TV. So forward goes Overton, and well done there to Prem Sisodia, because he chased, flicked it back. I thought he'd done a really good job, but I think then he said afterwards, actually no, I think I was over the rope. So 4 given, and 94 for 3. Sweeping again is Overton out towards deep backward square, and they will pick up a single. 1 more to the total, 95 for 3. I said they went upstairs. If they had gone upstairs, none of us would have known.
I was going to say, did they come? I thought they were coming to us.
We could give them a wave.
But no, Sisodia, that's terrific from him. I think he said, no, my feet were over the rope as I touched it. As Laurie Evans waits, Salters into him, and Laurie Evans down the ground, hasn't got all of this. 1 bounce down towards long off. And just for a second I thought Laurie Evans had chipped that straight down long off's throat. But 96 for 3. Glamorgan building up a little bit of pressure here now on Surrey. 71 more required by Surrey. Final ball of the 10th. Salter's in. Oh, and Overton, he's almost done him. Dance down the pitch. Again, possibly a little bit of turn. And Sisodia again sprints back, slides, gets it inside the rope. Was there a little bit of inside edge? There was. Little bit of inside edge from Jamie Overton. But what an over that was from Salter. 10 gone, 99 for 3. James Harris, it's got interesting this.
Yeah, Glamorgan have dragged it back in the last couple of overs. 2 big wickets. They need another good over here. We're going to go with some spin with Marnus Labuschagne again, but Laurie Evans becomes the big wicket here. Into the all-rounders now in Jamie Overton, but get Laurie Evans out here from a Glamorgan perspective, and they can try and put some pressure on to Surrey.
Yeah, Glamorgan need to keep taking wickets to feel here. They're going to have to take another 4 or 5, I suspect, to put enough doubt in this Surrey charge, with this series of hard-hitting all-rounders in the middle of the Surrey order. Just 68 needed off 10. Labuschagne in and bowls, and another bottom edge, and this time they'll go through for a single as Sisodia is in action as it's the 100 up, single to Jamie Overton, but that's 3 shots in the space of about 7 balls off the bottom edge past the keeper.
Yeah, sometimes things go your way and sometimes they don't.
Going Surrey's way in the last few minutes as Evans forces up towards long on. Single taken, 101 for 3. And Labuschagne will just try and create a bit of doubt in these Surrey minds and get them fiddling around and not confident enough to go for the big shots. They don't really need that many big shots, needing fewer than 7 and over. There's a appeal for a catch at the wicket, and he's been given.
He's been given, yeah.
Jamie Overton has gone, caught behind off a very wide delivery from Marnus Labuschagne, and well, he'll be kicking himself all the way back to the dugout there, James.
Yeah, absolutely. There would have been a wide if he'd left it alone. He's got a fine edge on to it through to the wicket keeper, Chris Cook. It's another big wicket for Glamorgan. That's their way back into this game. Surrey have got themselves a long way ahead of the run rate, but 4 wickets down now. Glamorgan are giving themselves a chance with every wicket they take.
Well, Labuschagne chipping in with ball as well as bat. As Jamie Smith, the 20-year-old keeper, is in at number 6.
Is it possible to bang on too much about this Labuschagne character?
It's ever since he appeared on your podcast.
Well, in fairness, he wasn't in great touch with that, and it still took him a couple of weeks after that. But anyway, joking aside, there's nothing but plaudits left, right and centre, and then he comes out and says, after the first few weeks, which he struggled, he said, I don't think I've had a period in my career where I've learned more about myself, about the game, and he's almost like Mr. Perfect almost, isn't he, in cricketing terms?
Yeah, look, he's an incredible character, Marnus, and he's always wanting to get better. He's always wanting to learn. He's very open to trying anything, to be perfectly honest, if he thinks he's going to make him a better cricketer. And you've never met a man who loves cricket so much. If it's raining, he'll be playing with a tennis ball in the dressing room. And then if it's nice and sunny, he'll be out trying to take on some of the best bowlers around the world.
Labuschagne then into Smith, who blocks that one to short mid-wicket. Andrew Salter in his BBC column was saying that he and Kieran Carlson would lead the indoor cricket during long periods of rain, as that's pushed away on the leg side by Smith for a single, 102 for 4, and up at Canterbury, where it absolutely bucketed it down, and we sat around for hours, and he was out playing a bit of softball cricket on the outfield while they went and waited for things to dry out. 102 for 4, 167 the target. Appeal for LBW, not given, as Laurie Evans got a bit tangled up there. 102 for 4. So Glamorgan putting the brakes on. We've had 11 overs. Surrey are still favourites, but this fluctuating game just giving Glamorgan a little bit more of a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of wickets in the last few overs. The run rate's just crept back up over 7. So Glamorgan have done a really good job in trying to stem the flow and to drag this game back towards their side. Surrey still in front of the game here, but another couple of wickets and Glamorgan can get themselves back in it.
Such a strong start. You'd almost find it impossible as they were going on. When that first wicket fell 60 for 1, still inside the first 6 overs. Even now, with the way the game has changed so much, you're still finding it hard in your own mind to see how this can still be at all competitive as a game. But it is, again, so quickly. And it's the start of the next over, and Salter continues to bowl, worked away onto the onside.
Momentum, the most overused word in professional sports interviews, but could just creep in here.
Yeah, could do.
Absolutely. 3 wickets in the last 3 overs. Glamorgan doing what they can to put to bed that start that Surrey had.
Getting some turn. Salter bowling from the Vauxhall end, and he's bowling to Smith, who's on 1 not out. Bowls now. Oh, very nearly gets the leading edge back up to Salter. These are touchy times here for Surrey now. 4 down.
They are indeed, and you can just see that the fielders in the ring have crept that couple of yards closer.
Smith facing again. Salter bowls to him, leans back and punched for a single out onto the offside towards the covered boundary. Man comes in by a few yards. Sisodia, by the way, when he pulled that back in, but he said it was a 4. Got applauded. The way I realised it was the player is that umpire Cook applauded him just to thank him for that. I think initially he told umpire Hartley what had gone on, so it's all about umpires really would appreciate that. And he'll get a wicket or 2 later in his career for that.
Absolutely, keep the umpires on your side.
Salter in and bowls and worked up towards Labuschagne, comes darting in off the boundary here at long on. get a single.
I don't think I'd like to live with Marnus Labuschagne. It'd be very tiring.
Has he invited you around?
No, but
well,
can you imagine breakfast? Cornflakes, coffee, toast,
Got a
fruit.
rush. I totally agree. It'll be full on. Smith is on 2, leans back again, and times that okay for a single out into the offside. And he moves to 3, and the score up to 105 for 4 now. This in the 9th over. Need another 62 to win with the 6-wicket standing. Rate required is 7. They're going along at 8.87 at the moment. And again, caressed into the offside. So the ball just ticking along okay. And with that run rate as it is, these singles are perfectly okay from a Surrey point of view. As long as they don't lose some more quick wickets, then they'll be in trouble. Smith on 3, Evans on 17, 106 for 4 after 12 overs it is. 12 overs gone, 8 remaining. The other thing that Labuschagne did talk about, which I noted in my mind on that podcast when he joined us quite some weeks ago, is full of praise for Matty Maynard as well as a coach and the way he went about coaching. Not in a way that was sort of dictatorial, if you like, about how it should be done.
Labuschagne continues, driven straight back up at him. He gets a foot to it. The ball cannons away, and they'll go through for 2 runs as a throw comes in, misses the stumps at the non-striker's end. That must have hurt. They'll hurt him tomorrow, Marnus Labuschagne, as he got his foot down. I saw David Lloyd break his foot in similar fashion last year. Doesn't look as though it's happened to Labuschagne. 108 for 4. Slow ball, loopy outside off stump. No shot played, no wide called. Sky's darkening ahead of us. Fascinating duel under the floodlights. Labuschagne bowls quicker ball that Evans works down to backward square. Go through for a single. 109 for 4. 168. 167 is the target for Surrey. Still the home side favourites, but Glamorgan fighting tooth and nail, and no one more so than Labuschagne, who's in his last over. 3 more balls for him to bowl. 2 for 24 he has at the moment. As he comes in, bowls to Jamie Smith, who pulls him and goes through mid-wicket for 4 runs. That was pretty close to Colin Ingram. The South African diving, but not able to get to it. And a little blow struck by the young keeper. Ball back in Labuschagne's hands very quickly indeed, as he bowls again to Smith, who dabs that one down to square leg for a single. 114 for 4. Surrey chasing 167. Mark Church, Kevin Howells, James Harris, the Middlesex and former Glamorgan all-rounder. Myself, Nick Webb, your commentary team. Labuschagne bowls outside off stump, and Evans chases it, and he'll get a couple of runs here, I think, as he's managed to find a gap on the offside. Throw comes rocketing in, but they're safely home for 2. And Labuschagne finishes his 4-over spell with 2 for 31, but he really has worked his socks off to try and drag Glamorgan back into it. Need a bit of support from the other bowlers, though. We've just seen a decent one from Salter, but Surrey just starting to regain the flow of their innings.
Yeah, he's had a really good night so far, Marnus Labuschagne. 70 with the bat, 2 for 30 with the ball off his 4 overs, but a really good over for Surrey. They knocked it around there, took 10 off it without too much trouble, and they're still ahead of this game.
Salter's going to bowl this last over here as well. 3 overs, 1 for 31 so far. He's going to bowl to Smith from the Vauxhall end. Bowls now used to the feet, driven along the ground to that man again, Labuschagne, up off the boundary. 1 more to the total. Smith to 9, 117 for 4. Exactly 50 more runs needed on this Monday evening, on the 6th day of Vitality Blast 2021. Salter comes in to bowl again, this time to Evans on 22. Again use of the feet to drive the ball out to mid-wicket. And there will be 1 more to the total. Yeah, the news today from the Prime Minister, obviously it's a cricket programme, not news programme, but seemingly the release that was due for June the 21st isn't going to happen now, pushed back to July the 19th in England, next delivery. And that's punched away through extra cover for a single again, which is bad news basically for the Vitality Blast and the counties, because they won't be able to expand the numbers allowed in. It could be a real Brucey bonus to the 100 in some ways, because that starts just a couple of days later. Next delivery, Bowl looped up there on Middle and Egg, and again I like the way that Smith and Evans are going about this at the moment, playing some nice shots and using the feet and the wrists. Another single to the total. Now, the 100 just starts a couple of days after that, so if that release does happen, it could be at the 100 and the 50 overs. There's still a 50 overs, so people will be getting live entertainment wherever they can, maybe, and hopefully by then, who knows. This one is punched away, moved back by Smith. A sliding stop out there. Things back coming back for 2. Oh, this could be in trouble. Oh no, he makes his ground okay. Makes his ground okay in the end. He was a few yards down, was Evans, before he had to turn around again. So he's on 24, 121 for 4 now. 46 more needed. 1 ball left to the 14th over. Next delivery. Leaning back, and that beats the man there at short extra cover. Could find the gap, should find the gap, will find the gap to the boundary. Through extra cover, deep extra cover. It's another 4 to the total, and yeah, there was a little bit of a shaky time, those 3 wickets being lost, but it all seems to be settling down again here now for Surrey. At 125 for 4, Smith on 11, Evans on 28, a partnership at 24 in no time at all here. And yeah, they're doing nothing fancy, just working the ball around, and it's working out really well for them at the moment.
Yeah, I think they've restored some calmness here. We had a couple of frenetic overs from a Surrey point of view. These two have just restored some calmness, knocked it around, taken their boundaries when they've had a chance to, and the race just gone back down to 7 and over. So from what you'd say, it's been pretty comfortable from a Surrey perspective at the moment.
Andrew Salter, who did claim a 4-wicket haul on this ground a couple of years back, or 3 years back. Glamorgan won their first 6 meetings of the 2 counties here, but they got bowled out for their lowest ever score here to break that run. That was 44 all out with a second over hat-trick for Tom Curran that really broke the back of Glamorgan, even though they didn't have a very big chase on that occasion. So Van der Hoogten to try and haul them back into it, but just 42 more runs needed off 6 overs. 7 and over for Surrey. 6 wickets left. The only way back for Glamorgan is to get at least 3 more wickets, I suspect, to really force new batsmen to play themselves in and get a bit of doubt in Surrey minds. But the Surrey side can afford to knock it round for once. Glamorgan are bringing an extra man into the circle. It looks like they've got 5 in as Van der Hoogten into bowl, and Smith plays it through the offside for a single. Oh, they've gone back for 2 because there's Misfield, and in fact it's 3 runs, and Carlson won't want to look back on that one on any videotape, that's for sure.
Yeah, he came in and attacked that one hard, Kieran Carlson, trying to stop the 2, doing what he can, and he made a little error there, Misfield, and Surrey ended up coming back for 3.
128 for 4. Smith to 14. Evans is on 28 already. And Glamorgan are struggling. Surrey are almost strolling. Van der Hoogten bowls, a swing and a miss from Laurie Evans as the ball bounces off his thigh pad down to David Lloyd at backward point. If you are just joining us, Glamorgan's 166 for 8, built round 74 from Labuschagne and 43 from Salmon. Dan Moriarty 3 for 26. Superb bowling spell for the home side, who then got off to their own flyer courtesy of Jason Roy. 64 off just 35 balls. Thought 167 might be a little below par as a target, and Surrey have made it look like that for most of their innings as Evans drives through the offside, and Carlson fields successfully this time, but they're still back for 2 runs. Maybe he was forced just to take a little bit more care on that occasion with the hostile encouragement of the crowd. If you can have hostile encouragement, you know what I mean.
I certainly do know, and that's exactly what he got there, Nick.
a bit of jip.
Some encouragement of sorts, yeah.
130 for 4. They'll whoop, just in case he overran it again. Evans to 30. Van der Hochten bowls, and that's helped away, way over backward square. That is 6 of the best from Laurie Evans, who looks set on finishing the job that Jason Roy started off. Just dropped a little bit short by Van der Hochten, and Evans really picked that up in style.
It's a great job from Laurie Evans. Top of the stumps from Tim van der Gooten, maybe just a little bit further back than that. A decent pace, and Laurie's just picked it up off his hip and into the stand with ease, really. It's just a touch of class there from Laurie Evans.
136 for 4. Surrey within touching distance. Van der Hochten bowls, and Evans drives to cover. Carlson fields, keeps them down to a single this time. 137 for 4, but they are already 20 runs ahead of where Glamorgan were at this stage. So Surrey absolutely in the box seat at the moment, looking to complete a 3rd win out of 3 in this South group. Van der Hochten bowls, and dot ball Smith plays. Oh, there's a misfield at short mid wicket there, as Glamorgan getting themselves a bit panicky in the field as they look to save everything. 137 for 4 with 5 overs left here on BBC Sport Online, and just 30 runs needed to win off 30 balls.
Yeah, 12 off that last over. Really tough there for Glamorgan. Surrey now needing less than a run a ball with 5 overs to go.
If they do complete a victory here, that would be played 3 and won 3, and just like Kent's 100% records, Sussex also have 100% record so far. They've only played a couple of matches of Sussex. Early stages, you've got to keep it going. Sisodia is back in with his spin. Can he make something happen here? Well, that first delivery, that next over, is turned around the corner past short fine leg. It can't be stopped there. There is a man further in the deep, but it does mean that Laurie Evans can go through for 2. Takes his score up to 39, and the score 139 for 4. This partnership with 38 runs in the 16th over. Prem Sisodia, who made his mark on this competition last year, and that's a wicket, and it's the end of Evans, and he's just driven the ball straight down to our left hand side here at long off. Didn't get hold of it as much as he would have liked. The catch has been taken. It's Wheel who's taken the catch, and that now is 5 wickets down. Just a little sniff again, because we were looking there to Evans, who just looked to be so much in control. Looked to have got the measure of what was needed and required, but he's just driven the ball hard and firm out there. Didn't get enough of it though, and he's lost his wicket.
Just as you thought, Surrey were getting really ahead of this game and going to see it home. Laurie Evans picks out the man to long off, trying to finish it, trying to hit the ball over extra cover. Hit it a little bit too straight. Catch is taken down at long off, and Surrey now 5 down.
Well, you wonder, and great that Sisodia should get his reward. That's karma at work for you, my friends. That is karma at work for you, for his good work there on being honest about the boundary, and then gets a wicket. That's the way to look at it, isn't it?
Big wicket at that stage, because Laurie Evans looked like he was just winning the game for Surrey. Jamie Smith has come out and played very calmly for his 14, but yep, this one's not over yet, because the other thing is Jordan Clark out there in the middle. The other batters have sort of dominated the first 2 games for Surrey.
So it's Clark facing. Sisodia bowls on the leg stump, whipped away up to Labuschagne at long on, a single. So the man from Cumbria is off the mark. He's on 1 and 140 for 5. He's done okay now this season as Jordan Clark. He had an injury, didn't he, for quite some time, kept him out. And he's moved from Lancashire a few years ago now. Sisodia in bowls, creating a bit of space for himself. Smith will drive that straight to the fielder again. That's really all they need to do. They don't need to be risking anything in terms of any power hitting, just finding the gaps, doing a running ones. If you can push a 2, that's fine. Just keep it all under control. 141 for 5. Sisodia bowls shorter, turned around behind square on the leg side by Clark. He will push hard for 1, but settle for 1 as well. He moves to 2, and the score up to 142 for 5. And the crowd, which is good in number, bearing in mind the restrictions. It sounded good tonight as well. It's been a cracking atmosphere. They've enjoyed themselves, and it could be another win for Surrey. Although this is their first look at them at home this season in the competition, of course. So Sodhi again, in past umpire Cook, comes around the wicket, bowls, and again moving back Smith, but has to be a little bit careful, making sure he doesn't move too far back, and if the ball just turns a little there and gets himself in trouble. It's a dot ball to finish. Glamorgan 166 for 8 after 20 overs. Here's Surrey now after 16, 142 for 5. So they're on their way. Will we see anything dramatic to turn this story around? We thought for one moment when those 3 wickets, big wickets, went down close together, we could be in for a bit of a shock tonight, but I'm just not getting that feeling anymore, despite the loss of that wicket in that over.
Well, Surrey is still in charge here at the moment. Could still go either way, really, with a couple of wickets, but Glamorgan need those wickets, and they need them now. They need to get rid of Jamie Smith, they need to get rid of Jordan Clark, and probably Tom Curran as well, who's probably going to come in next. So, game not over, but Surrey definitely in front.
Well, James Wheel coming into the attack to bowl the 17th over. So just 25 needed by Surrey, so they don't have to play big shots. They can just knock it around, and that's why I think Jamie Smith has played very calmly so far for 15. But it's Jordan Clark on strike, Wheels into him, he's driving, and they'll get a single up towards mid-off, and Jordan Clark will move on to 3, 143 for 5. Yeah, Tom Curran next, and then, well, we haven't seen Gareth Batty, Matt Dunn or Dan Moriarty. Dan Moriarty's actually never batted in a T20 game for Surrey.
That's probably the only way Glamorgan going to get themselves a win here, is if we can see Dan Moriarty back this evening, I think.
That'll be in the back of their minds as Wheel is in over the wicket to Jamie Smith. Short shot, Jamie Smith. He's pulled this, 1 bounce, 2 bounces and away for 4. And he's just stood up straight, Jamie Smith, and taken that from outside his off stump and then just swung it over the leg side and away for 4. He's on to 19. It's been a very good 19 runs this from Jamie Smith. It's 147 for 5.
I think the calmness is the thing that stands out the most. He came in, hasn't looked flustered, has just played orthodox cricket shots really into gaps. That's just a back of a length ball from James Wheel, and he's just deposited over mid-wicket for 4.
147 for 5. 20 more required by Surrey in the 17th over. Jamie Smith now on to 19 from 16 balls with a couple of boundaries. Sodhi sent down to fine leg. There's a deep backward square. There's a long on mid-off. Sweeper on the cover rope and a third man as Wheel is in to Jamie Smith, who backs away and punches out towards the sweeper on the cover rope. And they will pick up another single. 1 more to Jamie Smith. He moves on to 20. 148 for 5.
As a bowler, what are your options here? What can you do?
Well, at this stage of the game, you've got to go and find a wicket, really. So you've got to find your best option at this point to try and get a wicket. So probably not short from this end with the short boundary being to the leg side. But if we bowl a seamer this end, that's probably the option, is to try and get him to hit the ball up in the air.
Wheel is in to Jordan Clark, who just turns this one down towards long on. They'll take the single again. That's all they need to do, really, with that boundary. They've got it below 6 now. 5.4 is the rate required. 149 for 5. 18 to win. And there is 1 ball to go of this, 2 balls to go of this 17th over.
You've almost now got nothing to lose necessarily as a bowler. The game's getting away from you. You've got to try something here to get a couple of wickets.
What does Wheel try now? He's in from the pavilion end short and pulled straight down the ground by Jamie Smith. He was off his feet there. And that's down towards long on. They'll take another single. 1 more to Jamie Smith. He's on to 21, and that's the 150 up for Surrey with 1 ball to go of this 17th over. So 17 required now by Surrey. And as I say, they've got that rate required down under 6 now. They're going at 8.91 at the moment. Rate required 5.37. For all you mathematicians out there, as in over the wicket comes Wheel again. Short one, brought third man up and sways inside it, does Jordan Clark. Just for a second I thought he might go uppercut with third man having come to the edge of the circle, but end of the Wheel over. 17 gone. James Harris, you feel from a Glamorgan point of view they might need a miracle. 17 required off 3 by Surrey.
Yeah, a little bit. This should be fairly easy now for Surrey to knock this around and win the game. You saw James Wheel there bowl a couple of short balls in that over, try to make something happen, try to make one of the batters make a mistake, but they've knocked it around, and they're looking very calm at the moment, which I think suits them. And 17 off 3 overs, Glamorgan need something to happen here. They probably need to gamble a little bit, bring a couple of fielders in, try and put some pressure on Surrey. Because at the moment, letting them knock it around and letting them take singles is just making Surrey's life much easier in getting closer to winning this game.
Smith on 21. Surrey 150 for 5. 17 overs gone. Sisodia for his final over, in and bowls on the off stump, driven through extra cover. Will it be perfectly placed? Not for 4. There's a sliding stop. They will go through for 2. Out there in the deep, moving swiftly to his right hand side was Andrew Salter. So up to 152 for 5 now. Smith on to 23. He's only 20 years of age. Off the back of 132 for the second 11 the other day in T20 competition. Sisodia in bowls, and that's carved beautifully. Finds the gap, that does, behind square on the offside by Smith. He looks a bit of class out there, Jamie, does he not? He really does, James, should I say.
It's just a gorgeous cricket shot, isn't it? It's the ball that was just back of a length, just outside off stump. Waited on it, waited as long as he could, and then just placed it beautifully behind, backward a point for 4 on the offside.
Angela, I see you got 60 in a seconds the other day.
I did. I went to play as a batter with a bit of a sore side. I got some runs and made my side worse. It wasn't the aim.
Sisodia bowls and worked away on the onside. He'll scamper through for 1. Labuschagne to it, right arm throw. Will he come back successfully for 2? It's close, but it's not out. Well, Jordan Clark it was, running to the danger end. He had to get a scamper on then. The call, I'm guessing, would have come from Smith. He would have had the best view of what was going on, called him through, and from his point of view, he's grateful that he made his ground. Batting alongside Mike Atherton's son, was it as well?
Josh De Caires, yes, I was. Josh is a very fine young player. Has come through some of the youth system, and he's sort of on the staff now at Middlesex as a young player, and he looks a very, very good player.
Sisodia round the wicket. Bowls now, given plenty of air, that, and it's in the air, but it's going to drop just in front of Wheel down here at long off. A single. 159 for 5. 2 balls left of this 18th over. And Sisodia looking for more wickets if he can. He's still a young man making his way. 22 years of age. He's in now and bowls. That's a little bit shorter. Doesn't give that so much here. It's played behind square on the offside. There is a man out there this time in the deep, but it'll be a comfortable 2. 2 more to Clark. 161 for 5 now. 6 required from 13 deliveries. On the grounds that you never know how games are finished. Churchy, it's all yours, my friend. Sisodia, in a moment, comes in, around the wicket, in and bowls, and driven down into the ground, and there will be no run off that final delivery. I was just concerned you're going to miss the big moment, that's all. 161 for 5, Smith on 30, Clark on 6. They're all but there. And Sisodia's bowled 4 overs, 1 for 38, no maidens. And
the interesting thing for me in this is Jason Roy's 64 was lovely, Laurie Evans' 39 was lovely. I enjoyed Marnus Labuschagne's 74. It's been Jamie Smith's innings for me tonight. How calm, and we know he's a talent, but he has been calm personified here at 20 years of age. He's just come out and got it down to 6 required now off 2 overs with no bother whatsoever. So 161 for 5. And it's going to be Van der Houten to bowl to Jamie Smith, who's chipped him up and over the top and mid-off and away for 4. So Jamie Smith gets it down to just 2 required. He's on to 34. 165 for 5. But James Harris, you used the word calm, and he has. He's just walked out there when there could have been panic and calmed everything down.
Yeah, there's been no flapping, no nothing. He's walked in, he's played some proper cricket shots, he's knocked it in the gap, he's hit boundaries when he's needed to, and he's won this game. I've seen this Surrey over the line here.
2 required by Surrey, and this one's down the leg side by Van der Houten, and that will be wide signal, so it's just 1 more required by Surrey. And Surrey are going to make it 3 wins out of 3 in the competition. They've got another couple of games here this week as well. Thursday night, Sussex come here, and then Hampshire come on Friday night.
And then Monday back here again? Essex?
I haven't thought that far ahead. In over the wicket once again comes Van der Houten. One needed, and there it is. Jamie Smith with the winning run. He's just tugged this ball into the leg side. It rolls out towards deep backward square, and they'll pick up a single. And Jamie Smith with the winning run finishes 35 not out. Jordan Clark finishes 6 not out, and Surrey have won this one by 5 wickets. And James Harris, you have to say that was an impressive chase from Surrey and an impressive innings from young Jamie Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from word go tonight, Surrey winning the toss, deciding to bowl. They wanted to chase, they were happy to chase. They put a good performance in with the ball, got off to an absolute flyer with the bat thanks to Jason Roy, who played beautifully. Had a little bit of a wobble in the middle, probably could be said, but then Jamie Smith's come in, played absolutely beautifully, got himself to 35, seen Surrey over the line, and like you said, it's 3 from 3 from Surrey in the South Group so far in the T20 Blast.
It is. I'll just quickly run through the scorecard for everybody. So it was 167 required by Surrey. Will Jackson, Jason Roy. Well, Jason Roy really got them off to a flyer. Those two putting on 60 for the first wicket, but Will Jacks was the first to go. Caught by Lloyd quite brilliantly off Dathwaite for 10. Then Roy went for 64, again caught by Lloyd off Labuschagne. Great battle between those two, Labuschagne and Roy going for 64. Then Sam Curran, LBW to Salter for 1. And when Jamie Overton, James, was caught behind, that was 101 for 4, and Glamorgan at that point were right in it.
They did, they dragged themselves back in. Surrey at that point was still well ahead of the run rate, but you felt at that point with 4 wickets down, if Glamorgan could have taken 5 and 6 at that point, then they would have been able to try and force a victory. But some calmness from Laurie Evans, some calmness from Jamie Smith got them closer to the target. Laurie then got out, but Jamie Smith saw Surrey over the line.
Yeah, Laurie Evans going for 39, caught by Wheel off Sisodia for a well-made 39, but then Jamie Smith, just calmness personified, 35 from 24 balls with 4 fours, and Jordan Clark 6 not out at the end, 167 for 5. Surrey winning by 5 wickets. Nick Webb. And well, for Glamorgan, I think probably it would be a case of not enough runs on the board.
Mark Church on commentary with Nick Webb, also James Harris and Kevin Howells. So Surrey victorious once again. It's 3 out of 3 at the start of their 2021 Vitality Blast campaign. A 5-wicket victory in the end tonight against Glamorgan. They got there with 10 balls to spare, having to chase down 167, and they did so with 64 off 35, 28 ball 50 from Jason Roy. Laurie Evans also contributing 39 runs, coming off 26 balls, including 3 fours and a 6. And also Jamie Smith showing some excellent form as well. Just discussing off air, what his potential career trajectory could be. A man with another, real potentially huge career in front of him, and another Surrey Academy graduate, 35 off 24, unbeaten, and Jordan Clark also making 6 runs at the end there. Rhys Topley with me once again. Rhys, always in control, that for you, Surrey? I mean, it was a reasonable chance to have to chase down, but never really in any danger there, do you think?
No, I think the way that the 2 openers scored really quickly and we dominated that power play. Jason was at his destructive best again, and I think from then on it was pretty easy for us in terms of the run rate. It was always manageable. I think we lost a few more wickets than we'd have liked to in the middle, a small hiccup, but other than that I think we were always in control.
What is it about Jason Roy that makes him almost unplayable when he's in this kind of mood? Out of the traps quickly. I mean, that power play was over before we even realised, and suddenly he's hit a 28 ball 50 within it.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously started with spinners, and he was almost dismissive of them. It was unbelievable to watch. The ball comes off his bat at such a pace when you're on the field that once it pierces the inner ring, it just flies off to the boundary. And obviously, it's strange to see Jaxie almost take a bit of a backseat to Jason. But I think that's where that's a bit of experience that they are both so destructive that when it is one of their day, I suppose the other one can sit back and watch and has the best seat in the house.
And that's just it's one of these things about keeping the opposition guessing, isn't it? Who's going to go? Who's going to hold up the other end, or who's going to keep it ticking over? And Surrey have got a lot of options where that's concerned. Just a word about the other batting efforts: Laurie Evans and also Jamie Smith. And what I quite like about this, again, we talk about the balance of the side. You've got international players with Jason Roy. You've got limited over specialists like Laurie Evans, and you've got young talents like Jamie Smith. What did you enjoy the most about their knocks?
Obviously, Jamie to be there, not out at the end, having won the game is a massive thing for a young player to do. Hopefully, he learns from that and he can learn how to sort of see games home. Laurie obviously not played a lot of cricket in the season before the white ball stuff, but then he looks like he's not stopped playing since last year. He's taken his form right into this year, and he looks class again.
Marnus Labuschagne, we mentioned him with the bat, with the ball, not too bad either. 2 for 31 off his 4 overs. He's really blossoming into quite the T20 cricketer, isn't he? For someone who is really making that number 4 spot his own in the Australian team and for the Test team. But it just shows the class of the man to be able to very quickly, having had very little experience in the shortest form of the game, apply himself here and at least give the Glamorgan fans who've been watching on this stream something to cheer about.
Yeah, I mean he's obviously not really known for his bowling, but he looked a bit of a handful on that pitch. He as an action-packed cricketer, he was in it. He was in the game with his runs, and then he took 2 wickets. And
the pitch presumably helped him in terms of brings him into the game as the bowler that he is.
Yeah, definitely. The used wicket did bring him into the game. Same with the other spinners, but that's where it was so good to see Jason at the start take down their first 2 overs of spin. It really sort of sent out a message what was going to come their way for the rest of the innings.
So Surrey 54 win over Middlesex, 54 run win over Middlesex, and then a 7-wicket win against Somerset, and now a 5-wicket win against Glamorgan. It all seems very, very rosy in the garden. Is there, I hope we're not getting ahead of ourselves here, but it's been almost the perfect start.
Yeah, I don't think we could have expected much more than what's happened. And yeah, I think it's down to the change room to keep the mindset that we won't get too ahead of ourselves and approach each game with a fresh outlook, and don't rest on our laurels really.
Yeah, and what about, I suppose, as players return from injury? I mean, we've talked about it before. There's an overseas player in Hashim Amla who's not even in this side, and you kind of think, wow, there are so many options in that competition for places. How will that increase as players come back from injury? And there will be a tough job for Vikram Solanki and Gareth Batty to do.
Absolutely. I think they'll almost be thankful that they're losing some players to international.
Makes their life a little bit easier. Yeah,
it does. But there's people that are willing to come into that team and hopefully just take the reins of whoever had the position before, and that's what comes with having the strength and depth.
Fantastic. Well, listen, hopefully you'll be a big part of that. My thanks to Rhys Topley for being our special guest on this live stream of Surrey against Glamorgan. First home game of the Vitality Blast in 2021. Surrey managed to peg Glamorgan back to 166 for 8. 3 wickets for Dan Moriarty, 1 apiece for Tom Curran, Sam Curran and Jordan Clark as well. Some fantastic fielding from Clark and an incredible run out from TC as well. And then Jason Roy, and as you heard a little bit earlier on as well, Laurie Evans and Jamie Smith knocking off the runs with ease. They got there with 10 balls to spare, a 5-wicket win for Surrey. And next up on Thursday, back here at the Kia Oval, it is game 4 of the group, and it is against the Sussex Sharks. So make sure you do join us for that, either on Surrey social and digital channels or on kiaoval.com. Bye-bye. Well done. Really enjoyed that, mate. You made it very easy for me. Thank you.